Yeah, we'd all play jokes on each other, have fun. I remember my one friend Jordan, we were like putting Viagra in his pizza and stuff and laughing. We were just we were goofing. Oh yeah, someone put a bass in a binding.
On today's episode of the Grab Matters podcast, we welcome on a very special guest, Brandon Thomas. BT is a former professional wake skater from here in Florida. We're talking with him about growing up in Florida, getting into wake skating, breaking his femur wake skating, and having Brian Grubb pull him out of the water. We're also talking about a bunch of the early contests, both boat and rail contests back in the day that he competed in, as well as how wake skating progressed, both rail riding and winching and boat riding, and kind of some of the rifts between the two groups of wake skaters and how that evolved over the years. We also talked with BT about what it's like riding, hanging out with Scott Byerly, kind of what it's like to be around the legend himself and how that relationship evolved over the years. I also talked with BT about how he, ended his professional career, kind of how it was an abrupt change, and then also how he transitioned into the behind-the-scenes role. Now he's doing a lot of filming, a lot of video projects and stuff like that. Also want to give a huge thank you to all the Patreon subscribers. Your guys' support truly is what keeps this podcast going, so thank you so much. Without further ado, let's get into this episode of the Grab Matters podcast.
I approve waterboarding. They're talking about wakeboarding. The thing about wakeboarding, every trick is an invert.
Backside.
One side, air railing.
A new dimension.
All right, we're back. Another episode of the Grab Matters podcast. Today we welcome on a very special guest, BT, Brandon Thomas, B-Tapes.
Yeah, whatever you want to call me.
I'm going to call you BT. I like that one.
Yeah, it's just simple.
Yeah, so we got a lot to talk about. Wake skating, obviously, is going to be a good portion of it. But I got a quick trivia question for you. Before we even do favorite grab, I'm wondering if you know how many of the 2010 Byerly edition Nautique 210s were made.
Oh, good question. 50?
Nope.
And
do you remember which number you had?
Oh, no, I wish I did. Number 421.
Not that many made.
I had let's see how many I said.
You're
50.
close to 50.
It was 100.
73. According to Scott Byerly.
And that's because of a year, a special year his or something.
I don't know. That's a good question.
I wonder if that's
know.
when he was born or something.
He could have been. You would know better than I.
Yeah. It's 10 years.
There you go. Jumping in, favorite grab.
Yes, the infamous, famous grab. So I thought about this one, and I, obviously got to stick with the wake skating. Grab back in the day was like my favorite was a melon poke, but
you got a good one.
It had to be, according to Aaron Reed, and Aaron Reed did some of the best melon pokes. It had to be, grabbed well, grabbed in the right spot, and you had to get it up. Maybe your ass is low, and you had to see the sole of your shoe, and that's how you knew you were putting the effort in, and had to be flat. So, back then I think that was the unsaid, like, this is how it needs.
That's how you do it.
Yeah. So that one's cool, and like I said, like Aaron Reed was the master. That had some covers, I think, and then Grubby was great at that as well. So.
Yeah, that's a good. I like that you specified how to do it because
it
looks a lot different when you do it.
It does, and there's a million ways to do different grabs and stuff. But back then, and like jumping a big wake, and then Rodrigo's there taking a photo or Bear, and like it wasn't always about doing the techiest trick for a photo. It's like a good melon poke was great, and you could do it 3 or 4 times, and Rod would be like, "That's the one."
Yeah,
So
how was it hanging out with Dale Earnhardt Jr.?
You got me, caught me.
I want to hit it early with that one.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was going to say, like, I got to meet some pretty cool people and being a wake skater in the wake industry. And there was always an outside source that was like, oh, you guys do that? Like, we're into that. Like, we got a boat. Like, how about you come check us out? So, yeah, I mean, I won't make it long, but I was in Vegas with Spencer Williams, who lived with Brian Grubb and I at the time. We had the bachelor pad over there in Lake Jessamine. And, we had another buddy with us, Tony. Grubb wasn't with us, but we were just going hard in Vegas, having a good time. It was actually just a random trip, and we met these guys that they just saw we were having fun, and we were kind of gambling with them, and I didn't really gamble. I just sat back, drink, and watch everyone lose their money. But we got friends with them, and before you knew it, like, we're sitting at the end of this table, and I look down, and I'm like, double looking. I'm like, I come back to this private table. They almost wouldn't let me sit down, and someone waved me down, like, yo, you can sit. And I looked down at the table. I'm like, double looking. That's Dale Earnhardt Jr. That's Dale Earnhardt Jr. My buddy's like shoulder to shoulder, hand around him, like chain. My buddy's like got the part. He's got my glasses on. He's looking like a character. So he ended up hanging with them and telling them about wakeboarding. Before you know it, we're in VIP. and the MGM Grand. I forgot what the VIP was called, but the suite he was in. We actually went to VIP. We partied. Grey Goose coming out. That was his preferred drink. Before you know it, we're like up in the room with like a lot of people that I guess are celebrities and or this type of people telling us and just having conversation. They roll in more Grey Goose, and they were just super welcoming to us. And yeah, they kind of showed us through Dale. He had a friend named Joel, and then Joel kind of showed us around the industry of the Hendrix Motorsports, which is, you know, we're showing them like, oh, check out our wakeboards. And they're like, hey, check this out. And they're like, we're going to North Carolina, and they're showing us the whole facility.
Oh, so you've met up with him after?
Oh, yeah. I went to Dale Earnhardt's like house. He actually has a freaking like party, or like his house on the hill. And then like down here is like a saloon, or what do you call it? Like old days, like
with the two doors that open like
that.
Yeah,
like a whole town.
Oh,
whole town. Yeah, but the saloon was like where we partied. And he was like showing us around, like before you know it, yeah, we were like buddies like that. Like just he's just being really welcoming, and you know, we aren't calling him every week, but between Joel and him, like they were showing us like their world. We showed them ours, obviously, and we were like, this is kind of cool. And yeah, we got to go to races and all types of stuff, and just met them as good friends. And honestly, kind of got to tell you how that started. They had lost a friend. Mr. Hendricks' son died in a plane crash. Now, Dale Earnhardt was there with his friends Joel, celebrating their friend's life. And they met us and like took us in as like a friend.
Really?
And we ended up going to the tribute, met OAR. They had OAR come there and sing. We like buddies with them through this. And like, yeah. And it was just like crazy in our industry in that time, just meeting different walks of life, and like people that were into other industries were into our industry. And yeah, before you know it, we were at some celebrity's house and just having a good time. And I mean, that still happens now, but back then, like Dale Earnhardt Jr.
I mean, that's a
like,
huge name.
Huge
name.
Yeah. And just one of those where you're like, why am I here? How did I get here? Type of situations, you know. But just good people. They all live in North Carolina and love wakeboarding.
I was gonna say, they on the water there. Like,
yeah, what's the lake there? I don't know the lake there, but they took me all around. They had their bars, and yeah, they love that lifestyle. So that was a great connection to, you know, another athlete or another guy who's into the industry. And it was always important to like open our doors for them, and they opened the doors for us. So it was
crazy
experience. Yeah. And I actually the other day went into my old computer and I was like, I got to find a photo of us. Like,
I found the photo on the internet, so I'll put that in.
I don't even know. Yeah, there was a photo of us hanging out, and I was just like,
evidence.
because I tell people, I don't always tell people this, but I tell people, and I'm like, no, probably don't believe me.
Well, it's a crazy story.
Yeah, it was crazy, and like, yeah, they're just good people, you know. It's just a different world over there in the race industry. I knew nothing about it. And
that's cool that you guys come together and
yeah, and that happened with like a lot of people, like Rockwilder. We did music.
I was going to ask about that one too.
And I'm a DJ. I love music. I love my hip hop. I love all types of music. And I heard they were doing that, and I like stuck my toe in the door, and they got me a little track. And I think the song is called Legend or something.
Yep, it was Legend.
It's pretty cool.
You had a Wakeskate
it's on iTunes.
Video to it,
yeah. We were all hyped about it. I got to go sit in the studio and like jam and see how this guy operates. And again, he took us in open arms, and we showed him our world, and he showed us his, and let us sit right there in the studio with him and see how he operates. And that was cool. And still to this day, he calls me, "Hey B, you and Grub, what you guys doing? Might bring the family down, go on the boat." Like, we've taken his family out on the boat. Like,
sick.
Grub put his kid right there on the board and surfed with him like last year. And so it's still great to have those connections and just know that those people are like normal people, just want to be treated normal. And
like get on the water too, hanging out with people that like it.
It's cool to know that they're into that. So.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Well, I think we dive into, wake skating and how you got started. So you didn't start out wakeboarding, did you? So
yeah, a lot of people think I'm from South Florida, but I went to school in South Florida. I'm born and raised in Florida, Florida cracker. And, I rode the Wet and Wild cable once when I was really young. That was like the first cable. I was trying to think about the first cable, the Wet and Wild. There was a cable, and I rode on a kneeboard around it.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Do you remember that cable like at all? Because I heard that there were 2 start docks there. Is that true? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Holy crap. There was 2 on the opposite end.
Yeah.
Of this. It was, yeah.
One of the only cables that has that. Anyways, continue.
So I'd go there, and you could get like half off if you're a Floridian, and we go there, play volleyball, try to meet chicks, and before you knew it, I'm at the cable. And I didn't think much of that. Time went by. I got into a lot of other sports, tennis. I was a swimmer. I played ice hockey in Florida. Like, I come to find out, I was like, I like single sports like tennis. Like, it's just all on me, you know? And around in high school, we were riding my friends' boats, and I'm like kind of getting into wakeboard and trying things once in a while. I'm like 15, 16, you know, like a little later in the game, but it was Orlando, and that was popping. I went to school right next to the Nautique factory. Mind you, I'd see Nautiques come by my school every day at lunch and different colors and stuff. And so I was surrounded by the wake industry and really didn't embrace it till high school and trying to, you know, you find your place, who you are. And I was skipping school to go to OWC, and I went to a Christian school, Pine Castle Christian Academy. So you didn't skip one day, you skipped the whole day. And I wasn't much of a skipper school guy, but that's when I started going to the cable a lot, you know. And then I finished, well, I guess I can say OWC. I started going to OWC a lot. My friends had boats. They were almost sick of me asking to ride. They would tell me that their boat didn't work. My friend Michael Lessman, I'd do it. He would be like, my boat didn't work. But I was like, I need to ride more, you know?
Yeah.
So honestly, I'll tell you the first time when I went to OWC, and this is after riding just a little bit behind jet skis and boats, and I'm kind of dabbling into it. I'm seeing the 12 honkies. I'm seeing some of this pointless stuff. I'm like, oh, these guys look cool. This looks cool. I love board sports. I always liked, it's kind of funny to say, I did rollerblade and play like roller hockey in the streets and just anything else I could, a skateboard, but rollerbladed a lot, funny enough to say. And yeah, when I went to the cable, I heard it opened, and I wasn't a rider at this point, and I just went around the corner, and I saw Parks Bonifay do like this crazy S spin on an Indian rope, and I didn't even know what that was. And I literally just got there, and I was like, what is this? This is crazy. What is this place?
Yeah.
And there's ramps. They actually had a build ramp, and they had some plastic ones. I was like, this is amazing. This is cool. I'm coming here. So I just started going there. Cable rats, they called us. You know, going to cable all the time.
Still do.
Yeah. And so between riding a jet ski and the cable and the bow, I was riding a wakeboard, you know?
Oh, you were on a wakeboard?
I was riding a Belmont, like one of the Belmont boards from Murray. You know, I thought Murray was the man. He still is. Yeah. And I was into hitting rails. I could do a roll to revert. I could do maybe a rail around the corner.
There you go.
Bust a hoochie glide off the kicker. I could do probably a pre-spun 720 off a kicker.
Oh, okay. 2 handle passes.
I came up. I was goofing, man. I would came up with my little trick. Was my trick on the dragon. Called it the ding dong.
Yeah. What was that?
I would come up.
You flip off it or something?
I'd do a spin and do a tantrum off, and I'm like, yeah, no one's doing that. And so yeah, that and like just good old times. And I heard you talk about Mike Ferraro. Everyone talks about Mike Ferraro. So yeah, so I start going there a lot, and I'm trying to figure out, like, I'm always been an athlete doing different things. So I'm like, maybe I can get a coach. This seems cool. Mark Ferraro was there coaching. He was coaching Dallas, and Chris Law, and these names Keith Lidberg brought up. And he was a cool dude. Sometimes I'd sit in the boat and just watch him train Dallas and give her a hard time and make her walk back if she didn't try a trick. So he was like tough love, but I could tell he cared. So, I asked my parents, hey, can I get some lessons with this guy? And yeah, Mike it was cool. He's a little more lenient on me because Wakeskating was just coming out, and he was teaching me how to spin and giving me the logistics of it. And he's a funny guy. If you ever had that guy on, jokes for days.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And, yeah, Dallas, and we'd all play jokes on each other, have fun. I remember my one friend Jordan, we were like putting Viagra in his pizza and stuff and laughing. We were goofing. Oh yeah, someone put a bass in a binding. One time I put honey in the. Bill from Performance had these honey these honey jars, but they had soap in them. Yeah. And people would have them on the dock. I used to put honey in them, and we were like pranksters, dude. We were like pranking out. Like, I was at the cable all day. Like, just that's what we were doing, you know.
I did get a Patreon question from Josh Boyle, and he says, "What are some of the best water sports pranks you've ever pulled?"
Oh yeah.
I mean, you just listed a few.
Yeah, I mean the alligator head. Parks and I had an alligator head we were goofing with a couple years ago. That was too good.
What's going on with alligator head? What's the deal with that?
The alligator head, we didn't have a motor on it, but you come by in the boat, and like the riders on this side.
Oh, you're swimming.
The riders on this side, I'm in the boat. The riders on this side, and we're like picking them up, right? So the boat's in between us and where I'm going to put the gator. By the time the boat comes by, he sees the gator, you know, and just flips out. Like couple walk on water moments, you know.
Yeah.
Parks has that on his YouTube. I mean, I don't know.
That's a good one.
We did
a good one.
3-person water balloon launcher at Bro Stock. Hit this guy right in the chest. That was amazing. Rusty Malinowski. But yeah, I don't know, stuff like that. I was a goof, man. I think we like to play pranks on each other.
Well, it's fun to play pranks. Okay, so you're wakeboarding now at OWC.
Yeah.
When does wake skating come into the picture?
Yeah, you're right. I'm dragging it.
No, this is perfect. You're
Yeah,
good.
so wake skating, I'm watching like Brian Grubb. There's only 3 wake skaters in my life when I first saw him, like Scott Byerly, Thomas, and Brian Grubb. Those were like the 3 dudes. Like no one else was like a name. And I've seen a couple kids. Actually, Mike Ducato was a really good wake skater. He didn't like keep wake skating, but he was really good. And then my friend Jordan Mears had the big yellow skate. And then he gave it to me like to ride one day, and like I don't think I get it back. I'm like, I'm good. And he started like wakeboarding more. And I just
swapped.
Yeah, I was just like, this is cool. Why is it cool? Because in my mind I was like, oh, no one's doing this, and like everything that's simple is like cool again. Like,
Yeah.
you could just go across the rail and hang on the nose a little, and it just felt cool and special. And like a spin off a kicker was a little harder now, but you know, I also was like, oh great, I don't have to learn all these inverts. Like, so I was a very much like a rail guy when I wakeboarded. And like, I think I won one of the first freaking slider spectaculars there. I have a trophy this big from wakeboarding.
I remember those.
Yeah.
Huge.
So then,
some pictures.
yeah, and then I was hooked, dude. After that, and then it gets into some good stuff. This, if I had to get a testimony of my wakeskate career, I'd probably start more here. So when I left high school or graduated high school, parents are like, "You're going to college." I'm like, no, I just want to wakeskate. And so grandma, you know, sent me off to college. I went to college in South Florida, and I was like digging to find a place to ride. They had ski Rickson, so I ended up going to school in University, and I met Dean. I'll talk about Dean later, but those are my kind of 2 places to ride. So my first year of college, I had like places to ride. I mean, we'd also ride behind a truck in the canal, like too. I talked my friend into taking his parents' truck out, and we'd build rails in the canal. Like I was diehard. I'm drawing pictures of rails I want to build at home and stuff. Like I was diehard.
Yeah.
I'm not like fully sponsored or anything, and like I'm just into it. But I'm like getting so into it, but I had to leave school, so I was bummed. But it made me work harder. And then I come home for spring break, first year of college, probably 2001. And so I come home spring break around 2001 to ride OWC like I usually do. It was a 3-hour drive from Boca or Delray, wherever I was at. And I get there, I do my normal thing. Brian Grubb's there. Mind you, I don't know Brian Grubb. I've never shook his hand.
Okay.
I know of him. Chad Sharp was there. Never really met these guys. I'm just like, oh, sick. Oh, Grubb's doing a shove it off this thing over here, and he fell. I'm like, I'm going to do that, shove it, and I'm going to land it in front of him. This was my attitude back then. For him, it was heel side. He's right foot forward. I'm left foot forward. So I go in, and I do a toe side shove it, and by this point, he's on shore, right? And I don't know if he's watching or what, but I like stiff-legged it or did the splits or something. It all happened very quick. And at this point, I'm like, I had a major crash. I'm in the water, and I'm like, oh, something's wrong. Like, something's wrong. I start feeling my leg and my femur fully broken. And at this point, I remember I had a class talking about all the bones and stuff. I'm like, I just broke my femur, the biggest bone in your body, the one you can die from. Like, all this is going through my head. I'm like, oh, take some breaths. I relax. I'm like, all right, well, calm your heart down, blah, blah, blah. All this is going through my head. I start yelling at Brian. I think I called him Brian back then. Call him Grubby now. Brian, I broke my leg. I broke my leg, man. He looks over at me and he goes, you all right? Are you sure? He's like very slow about all this. You all right, man? Are you sure? Are you sure you broke your leg? Because if I got to swim out there, I go, bro, I broke my leg, dude. Come get me. Like, I'm having to talk him into coming and getting me. I'm just like losing at this point. And then he Baywatches me. He swims out there and gets me. He's not thinking much of it. Yeah, I think he's
probably like, oh, this kid hurt
this
himself.
kid trying to follow me around. He hurt himself. Gets me to shore. Him and Chad Sharp try to lift me out of the water. And my leg bends like it's a second knee. At this point, we're all, put me back down, blah, blah, blah. That was Chad Sharp. And, you know, Chad Sharp saved a lot of people in the industry, honestly. So I was one of them. And he helped me. You know, they got me in like they got me in the back of a truck and my legs all mangled and stuff. And I'm like, just call an ambulance. So the ambulance came and went through all that. And my dad happened to be in the hospital already that day. My mom was there already that day. He was having a heart fibrillation thing. So they roll me like, or before they even get me there, your femur breaks. It goes like this, and you're overlapping stuff. And the guy's like, I'm like, can you give me a shot or something? This one I owed him. And he goes, like, no, man, I can't till we get there. He goes, I'm gonna put you in this retraction thing to put your leg in traction. I go, what? And he puts me in this thing and starts cranking it, and it starts taking the bone and doing this, and it feels better after that.
Really?
Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, I didn't need anything. Then I went to the hospital, rolled me by my dad's room. Then they freaking come in and tell me I can't have surgery till the next day, and we're gonna have to put your leg in traction. I'm like, it's already in traction. And they come in with like a drill, like a DeWalt looking drill. And like, they're like, we're gonna have to put it above your shin, like a metal thing, and then put it on strings. I'm just like, well, I was like freaking out. I'm like, you're gonna put me to sleep, right? They're like, no, and they just gave me an extra whatever they gave me. And I just remember them drilling, and I passed out.
So what was the pain like though before? Like before
it was
like was it 10 out of like gnarly pain or what?
It was, yeah, it was probably top. Like, I have two things that hurt me the most. That was one of them. But after my leg was in traction, it was good, but it was gnarly. It was like I had to just relax. I just like kept thinking about relaxing and breathing and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But after I was in traction, it was all right. But it was gnarly. Yeah, it was gnarly. Like, I was like, Grub, why am I arguing with Grub right now? I'm in pain. Like, yeah, it was gnarly until they put it in traction. Then they had me on morphine, and then they set my leg up. Then the next day, I ended up getting a rod in my leg, and the doctor's like, oh, you're never going to ride again.
That's what they said?
Yeah. My Spanish mom's in there like, I just must, don't you tell my son that he's going to ride again. You know, she's like.
She's saying he's going to ride again?
Yeah, she's on my team.
Badass.
Like, and I felt awesome to hear that. And, you know, it motivated me for sure. And then I didn't have to have a cast on my leg, so they let me go. Once I could walk on crutches, they let me go. And I went out and like, I thought I was healed, like let weeks go by, and I tried to wake skate and did the splits on a front board on a rail, fractured where the pin was. And my doctor's like, what were you doing? He's like, put him in a full cast. Like, had a cast up to my growing, to my ankle. Like, I was 18, dude. Nothing was stopping me. You know?
You waited just a couple weeks after you broke your
Not
femur?
a couple weeks, probably 6 weeks, but it probably needed more. I was very ambitious about riding and stuff, dude.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. And I think about my mindset now. I'm like, what was I thinking, dude? I like really must have loved this.
Yeah.
And anyways, that all healed up. And honestly, that time, and I tell this to a lot of riders, when they get hurt and they're frustrated and they don't know why these things happen, like, that is an important part of my story. If that didn't happen, I wouldn't be here today, because I sat around and I was like, dude, I love this sport. Like, I wrote down what I wanted. I want to be a DJ. I want to wake skate. I want to be a pro. And I still have that little piece of paper at my house, dude. Like, that was such a motivating moment, and sitting around thinking about what I'm going to do next, you know? So it's like make or break you type of thing.
Yeah, and this was like pre-sponsor, right? So when you broke your leg, you didn't have.
No, I didn't have real sponsors,
Okay.
but like.
You were just hungry. You loved it.
Yeah, I was hungry. I loved it. And then like after that, I just started healing up and grinding and.
Yeah, what comes next? Because you go to the projects.
Yeah, so let's go. What's next? So yeah, I'll tell you how I kind of got into the projects. Was like, the projects to me was a secret place. Like, no one could just roll up. You can't just roll up to projects and go ride. This was like 12 honkies was shot there. They're like, if you knew what was going on in these videos, you knew what was shot there and what wasn't. And you were like, how do I get into this place? How do I check it out? It isn't a park. You don't go get a wristband. You don't, like, it was very like in the sticks.
Yeah.
And I think my Ferrari or someone told me, oh yeah, it's out here off of 50 and you take a ride by the plumbing plant and I'm like, okay,
right here.
I'm going. Took my buddy Jordan with me, and we were freaking in the woods. Before you know it, we're in the middle of this place, and there's a jet ski, no one's there. I have to go find Pat, and I meet these people. Like, can we get a ride? Like nervously asking, and they let us ride. It was like $25, and it was just like, you rode for 25 minutes on these rails that were built. Mind you, I just like to hit rails, man. As much as I rode the boat, I love to get on a jet ski and just go hit a dock, a rail, jump a fence. So it was heaven to me. And I was like, a place where you can build whatever you want, this is amazing. So that was like ingrained in me that I love that place, and went there here and there. And then after I broke my femur, I went there with the cast on my leg, and I go, Pat, can I like pull people out here and be a like part of this and like ride when I heal? He's like, yeah, man. And so I was out there full cast, freaking pulling riders, $25. I'd never took none of it. Put it in the thing, signed off, give it to Pat at the end of the day. And mind you, I was coming back and forth from school doing some of this. So built my relationship with the projects by working there and putting the grind in like everyone else. I didn't necessarily live there. I was at school, or I would stay at Grubbs, or sometimes I would stay over the night there and hang out with Doyle and the boys, and we'd have a good time. And we were all about filming, and we loved what Pointless was doing, and we were like P Unit or trying to make our own little gang. And we motivated each other, and like we were just misfits from different walks, and like Doyle from Canada and Keith is kind of a cable guy, wanting to be the wakeboard, like be in the boat industry. And then Pat was like innovative with the rails, and he worked on the Rome. He was one of the first ones to start making flex boards. Like we saw the first boards come out of the projects that were flexing.
Was the Rome that crazy looking one that's like the
that's
oval?
what you should get. Yeah. That's like the first thing. And like we were all tripping. I'll never forget like Murray would doing those layback things. And so, yeah, there was a lot of R&D going on there between our Wakeskates and boards like that. And before you knew it, we were like a crew, and I was helping them build rails, and we were going to wake stock and building those rails. And, yeah, we were a crew.
All right.
Felt
So
official.
at this point, you did mention some movies, but what are some of the favorite videos you had growing up? Because you mentioned, obviously, Saw 12 Honkies, some other ones, but like.
Yeah, so 12 Honkies like got me right in the door. I was like, what? These characters? I don't think I've seen a movie like that since. Just the way Ron did the characterization of everyone, and it was so fun. And like everyone will tell you, man, the music back then, we were able to sling good music. And if you saw Byerly and Leonard Skinner was playing, like it just went together, and you thought of him when you heard that song in the car. But some of the videos I watched I was heavy into the Pointless, dude. I was like Incomplete, Let's Go. Like Shane was my hip hop guy. I'm like, that's the dude. Like that guy's got mad style. Parks is just Rager, had a great section to his song. And then Grubb, I watched his part a million times, and it's like, oh, this is the possibility on a wake skate. And I was super motivated by him on that. And then the cassette videos, can't forget about those. Those still apply today very heavily.
Yeah, very much so.
As much as we tried different wake skates, it's kind of funny. It kind of all went back to a nice wood skate, which is cool. And yeah, cassette videos, pre-pop, all that. I was watching Chase the other day on your show, and geez, they made some cool videos, man. Like they were ahead of their time. And I was even telling you earlier, like they were doing like TikTok stuff where they jump up and all of a sudden they'd be in their wakeboard gear. I was like, man, that's like so ahead. That's what they're doing now. Like,
yeah, like quick transitions.
Yeah, just like they were ahead of their time, and they were professional, and they worked through Alliance, and yeah, it was a cool scene of the videos. Jeez, miss me some good wakeboard videos.
I agree with that. I think a lot of people miss that stuff.
Coles, I gotta watch Coles. I'll give him credit.
You saw Citrus?
I haven't seen it, but
You haven't seen Citrus?
no, he's gonna be mad at me. But
He
I'd like
should
to
be.
sit down.
I'm mad at you
I'd
too
like
right
to sit
now.
down and watch it with him too. How about
It's like 12 minutes.
that
It's a
makes
great
sense?
watch.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a. It's
All
not
right,
an
we'll watch
hour
when we
long
get
or
home,
anything.
yeah.
Yeah, watch when you get home. I think it's time we dive into the LF'n Wheel of Questions presented by Liquid Force. So Liquid Force likes to make wakeboarding fun. So let's make this podcast a little bit more fun. Can you reach that and grab that down?
The LF'n Wheel of Questions.
Okay, let's go.
So we got I've got some interesting ones because you're into filming now. Obviously, you're a
Yeah.
writer as well. So Make-A Movies on there, Steal a Tricks on there, Wake Skate Hot Take, Most Underrated Wake Skater. We got quite a few
Saw
good
this thing
stuff
was
on
might
here,
have been
so-
broke the other day.
No, we haven't broke it yet.
Okay.
Give it a big spin, yeah. See what we get.
Oh, most underrated wake skater.
Okay.
Ooh.
I was
Damn,
hoping to
that's
land
pretty
on this
good.
one.
You got that thing tricked out. What's going on back here? Yeah, most underrated. That's funny you said that because I was kind of thinking about this. And someone comes to my name, Chris Callis. You ever heard of Chris Callis?
That name has been said on this podcast before.
Really,
Yes.
dude, Chris Callis was doing these flip tricks in the lip, like insane. Bigger flips, 3 flips, just super floaty and sick. And I just feel like he was in our industry for a minute, and then he was out, and he had to deal with some stuff out of country stuff. Man, Grubb and I loved riding with him, and it was just a different rider. He didn't ride like us. He had his own style, his own thing, and just was ahead of his time with the flip tricks. I was like, man, just so clean and smooth, and was a good dude. I used to pick him up on the dock, go across the lake, pick him up at the park. We'd jump on my jet ski, lock his bike up, we'd go to Grubbs, and we ride. I'll tell you one thing, there's 2 people that wore my trampoline out, Chris Callis and Daniel Grant. I'm talking for like 3 years. I had to change the springs every time, and I was like, man, Like they
Put hours
they
in on
put
that
hours
thing.
on that thing. Yeah, we had a little rail, and so yeah, we were training, dude. We're like Jessamine.
Love it. That's a good name. I like that. Like I said, it has been said
Salas,
one time
yeah.
before, so that's obviously a good one. We got a wild card from the guys at the crew at LF. They're wondering what your favorite wake film ever made was, and your favorite section from that film.
Oh man, jeez, I gotta go back and watch some videos.
It could have been one you already said, but
I know.
or Wakeskate. I mean, just in general,
I mean, yeah, I guess Wakeskate film. I'll just go with cassette. That shit was dope. Wakeboard film. I'm just going to go with 12 honkies. I'll say it a million times. It's just the one that brought me in here, and it was just so fun and different. And
you had a favorite section? I mean, Byerly.
yeah. I mean, geez, I have a favorite section out of there. Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Well, that's a weird movie because there's like what?
I
8
feel
or
like
10
the whole
sections
thing's
in
my
it?
favorite section.
Yeah, because
Like,
it's not like I don't know.
yeah, I just love how they characterized them and just did something
Tell a story.
different, man.
Yeah.
Tell the story and like, yeah, I don't know, man. 12 honkers for life.
All right, I got one last one I want to do on this LF'n Wheel of Questions. It's called Make a Movie. So you said you miss movies these days.
Yeah.
If you could make a movie with, say, 5 riders,
Mm-hmm.
a couple filmers, throw some names, and it can be anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, shoot, dude, we're talking about Wakeskating. I gotta go Wakeskate. Where's the freaking Wakeskate movie, you know? I mean, I was thinking about my top 3, like, favorite Wakeskaters.
Water Monster's been putting some stuff out. They just had Edit come out.
Yeah.
Not like
Yeah, I need to
movie,
keep
but-
up with that, my Wakeskating stuff with those guys.
They be putting stuff out every year,
all right.
at least. So,
But as far as like a movie,
but not like a
goes, and you gotta
proper
go
full
for
movie
it.
with,
Yeah.
with premieres and all that stuff.
I mean, I'm gonna throw my boy DG up there first things first,
All right.
and Travis Belcito.
Yeah.
He's ripping right now, and great guy for our sport, and just holds his chin up and represents it well. Maxime,
Yep.
yeah, he's sick. How many?
2
is that?
more.
3?
2 more.
Oh, jeez.
You got DG, Belcito, Maxime. They're 3 great names so
I
far.
don't know. I'm gonna stick with. I almost feel like 3. I don't want too many people in my video.
That's fair.
Yeah.
If you-
I
yeah.
just want to do like 3. Then you can really focus on
Short,
them.
sweet, bangers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who else I would say, but those right now, like dudes, where I'm like, geez, every time I watch them,
Yeah.
there's a lot of good writers, but I mean, yeah, the writing is crazy right
You're kind of hitting 3 different, like,
now.
like DG
Yeah.
is powerful.
Yeah.
Belcito and Max are stees.
Yeah.
But-
And
I
they're
mean,
like winchy, more his
Yeah.
thing. And then Dan can do everything.
Yeah.
Really, if he wanted to, but he's very acclimated to the cable. And
That's good.
then I've always liked this about wake skating is the different aspects. And we had the toe jam back in the day. We had those different aspects. Was the boat, was the cable. I mean, it was more or less winching the boat, the winch, and then we had Jetski behind or on the rail, behind the Jetski on the rails, right? And then we had the boat, and then we had the winching. And those were like 3 nostalgic like things to me that we did, that it was important to do good at all those, You got like I think of Gunther Oka, I was like trying to be good at all of them was hard, man.
It's
The boat and the cable.
an impossible task.
It took me about 2 years, I think till you're like, okay, the cable does this, the boat does that, like
Yeah.
it was like a little thing through your head, but
Okay. Well, speaking of toe jam, we got a Patreon question from Kevco. So thank you to Liquid Force. We can go ahead and put that back.
Kevco.
Yeah, we got one from Kevco. So you were talking about toe jam. He wants to talk about the 3-event trifecta win at toe jam. So
yeah, thanks, man.
just kind of talk about that a little bit, and then kind of jump into some Byerly stuff, I think, after.
Yeah, so the toe jams were definitely the first like official wake skate contest. Byerly put them on. It's called the toe jam because there was 3 different ways to be towed. Like I said, you could be towed behind the jet ski, you get towed behind the boat, and you do the winching. And so you could win one of these or all 3. So we had these for years. They were great for wake skating, great crowd, and one year I ended up winning all 3, and I was on point that year. I was like going to the gym that year.
Okay.
I sat in the car and watched everyone's ride. Now, mind you, when I would go ride, sometimes it was like I always say, Grubb and Reed were doing the math. I was just there, like it went how it went. If it didn't go like great, then we're having a good time Saturday night. But anyways, that particular event, I was like really focused, and I was close between Rathy and I in the pool. He did a sick back lip. I think Scott had to call someone and like ask them because he didn't want to make the final decision. Like I did a big spin, which my argument was I left the board, but Rathy did like a sick backflip on this like skateboard style rail. Like,
Yeah.
So that was like a close call. Then with Grubb on the boat, like I think I did like a 3-shove wake to wake and I kind of shimmied it, but I got up and did like a kickflip to make up for it, you know, and like I ended up winning that. And then the jet ski rails like was my favorite, and I was a projects kid, so like I got to ride the rails, and so it was important to me always like try and win that one the most. So yeah, that year I ended up getting the trifecta, and you know, maybe for 2 years no one did that, and then for 2 or 3 years, no one did that, and then Reed Hansen came in and did a trifecta. So him and I are the only two, and you know, good on him because like if anyone else could do it, it's him.
Yeah, especially competitive wake skating.
Yeah, him and Grubb were like my competition a lot, you know, and like third place might have been like Balzer and I like going for it, you know, but like
those are two very.
He was really good, dude. James Balzer was great to ride against and consistent, you know.
Okay, so speaking of competitions, I mean, how did you approach contests back in the day? Because it sounded like that year you took it pretty seriously.
Yeah.
But in general, I mean, what was your attitude for the most part going into contests?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times it was the confidence. Like I did good for my confidence there, and what got my confidence there was being home and riding for 3 weeks, 6 weeks consistently or whatever, like 2 times a day, and it would be hard sometimes. You know, you got Grubb riding your Nautique, I'm riding his Malibu, we're trying to get in on each other, I'm skipping out and going to the projects and no one sees me ride. Like we were competing, man. Like we lived with each other and we were competitors, so like we were getting ready. But like, you know, like I said, Grubb and Reed would do the math. Oh, I need to do one more trick to beat B, or I need to, you know, and a lot of times I was going in like, I'm just gonna go do my thing, like, and you know, there was a difference, and there still is, between the guy who could ride the contest and like someone who like wasn't mentally there. Mentally, I could get pressured and ride pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
I could do my switch threes and big spins and stuff pretty consistent. So like, I was pretty good on the contest, and like I valued making sure I get to the contest and get top 3 to make sure my sponsors were happy. That was a big part of it, right? Sponsor wants to see you on the magazine. They want to see you on the podium, and that was important. And you get incentives. I would get incentives for getting on the podium. So sometimes I had to go there to these events and DJ. So I'm stressing about DJing with my buddy Mantis, who's a drummer, and like we had that set, then I'd have to go ride. So sometimes I'd be like, oh man, if I can just get top 3, like, so yeah, my mindset was up and down, but my days where I was on it, I had that confidence and I had that practice. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's wild to like, nobody else is doing the DJ thing or like announcing and riding.
Yeah, I was
like,
trying to hustle,
thing,
man.
you know?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know. It was like,
cool, but
yeah, it was part of my, I guess, like my graphics and stuff too. And I just loved DJing before I loved riding, and I still do. But I made it part of like graphics and stuff. And then like they knew I DJed, so they put me on the Pro Wakeboard Tour, and Dano's out there. This is prime time. Dano's out there throwing gear out. There's tons of people just gathered around. My buddy and I would do these 15-minute sets where I would DJ and go through a couple songs, and he would drum, and it was sick. It was like DJ AM and Travis Barker used to do this back in the day, so we were kind of replicating it.
Yeah.
It was a scene. So the boat would go fill up, and there was some dead time, and we would fill these dead moments, and it was cool, man. I call Manis all the time, like, we got to do that again, you know? Like, we'll do it again one day, but those are some cool moments in history where, like, the industry was popping. You know?
Yeah, and we'll keep diving into that a little bit, but I got a Patreon question from Reed Hansen. Speaking of contests, speaking of competitions,
I already know. I can
speaking
tell you
of
what
Brian
he's gonna
Grubb, he wants to know if you think Brian Grubb had an unfair advantage in the boat events and why.
Yeah, I definitely would argue about this. I love you, Grubb. Yeah, so back in the day, you know, honestly, the contest started behind a jet ski and then evolved into the boat. Now, it didn't evolve into the boat till we were all consistent. Like Chris Bischoff, Sean Dishman, who were running a lot of stuff, they wouldn't let that evolve until we were consistent. So we got consistent. We started riding the boats, right? They started letting us in. That was a big deal to ride the boats now with the pro wakeboarders and stuff. So, yeah, my argument was always like the Grubby would get to go there and kind of, he was a judge, so he'd get to go there early. And mind you, he would get on the boat, set the boat up for us. And I felt like sometimes maybe the wake was a little big. And, yeah, I felt like I never had any say-so. And I always get upset that, you know, Grub would get there early and get to set the boat up. And then I'm like, man, the whole thing about a contest is standing there not knowing like what's coming. So, man, I gave the judges a hard time about that a couple times, you know. But you know, there's my roommate I deal with, and you're trying to just get a fair go at someone who's better than you, you know. And I'm like, no, he gets this little advantage. So, yeah, that was a little itch in the system where right now, like if we were to have a contest, we'd probably like ride like a chill wake. But back then, like the wakes were pretty jacked, and like they were pretty much keeping it like that when we went and rode.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I think this didn't help when some of these other guys want to come compete against us. Well, guess what? Grub and I have a boat, and so does so-and-so at his house, and we get to ride these big wakes every day. But these younger kids that are trying to get in the industry didn't have these big boats. So something I saw there was like, that was like a hard thing to me. And
this is a perfect transition.
Yeah, Nautiques would give me a hard time at the end of my wake skate career. Why don't more wake skaters come to these contests? Like, what can we do to get them? It's your job to get them here. I'm like, I'm just trying to survive. Like, and at the end of the day, I thought about it, and it was just like, wake skating is cool because you can ride behind anything. And we were trying to make everyone ride behind the biggest, gnarliest wake and the newest boat. And it just didn't make sense for someone who was just kind of starting to come in our industry. I felt like it was hard for them to come ride the boats, and they didn't like that, boy. The other wake skaters. That's why I think they were like, we're going to go winching and stuff we can do for free and like less money, like skateboarding. We just roll up and hit it. Like, I get it. But like, I had the pressure of like the companies being like, why aren't wake skaters coming? And I'm like, I don't know what to say.
Like, I mean, Cole Van Uff asked this question, but I was wondering as well. Like, do you think that like that's a reason why some of the core wake skaters, you could say, didn't really fuck with
I think it was hard for them, and no one really established like, oh, this is how it should be, this is how the wake should be. We're all still learning at this point. Like I said, it went from the jet ski to the boat to now, where I think if we were to have a boat contest, it'd be chill and you'd see a lot of sick wake skating, because these small little boards hitting these big wakes is just like, it's a lot. It's like a lot that you almost have to ride a bigger wake skate, and we did. And I think you'll see more tech behind the boat with a smaller wake. But we were just as, why I'm saying that is because we were still trying to figure it out back then. But I think no one really wanted to say anything because it was grub. But yeah, I had a little mouth on me, and might have had a couple crowns one night and spoke to the judges. They didn't like it, but it's okay. You know, I was trying to hustle. I was trying to make my little buck and get on to the next trip. So yeah, there's some feuds there.
So speaking of poles and wake skating, I'm curious what you think. I want you to rank the method of pole for wake skating. So boat, cable, winch, cable full size and 2.0, and then jet ski. So those are the five.
What's the hardest?
What do you think is the best for wake skating?
Oh man, I mean, right away my head just hits the jet ski and a rope. I don't know, because to me that was like, Dad didn't want to buy me one of those boats. Like, I had to earn, like, I never owned a boat. I had to like earn that, you know, really through riding through other people. But like, Dad's like, I'm not buying you a boat I can't fish out of, and da-da-da. And I'm like, I get it. So the jet ski was simple and cool, and it was a little bit more personal. It wasn't the cable, but like, it was more personal with just you and your friend. But the cable and the jet ski, I just loved wake skating because how accessible it was. Your buddy could have a John boat. That could be the coolest thing ever for freaking you learning. Like, that's what I love about wake skating, is just everything. So I don't know. I just my mind just says a jet ski and a wake skate. But I mean, there's so many other ways to ride now. You know, like, the winch is really cool. You can just go grab a winch. You got to think a lot of these kids just like grabbing the electrical winch and going and feeling like that skateboard vibe. Yeah. Like, we own this spot. We done the best trick here. No one can find the spot. You know, like, I get that too. So I love the different aspects. But for me, just to get up and go learn real quick, the jet ski was cool because you could fall a lot. Your buddy picks you up. Try that shove it 10 times.
Yeah, it's like close to a 2.0. It's like, it's very fast.
Yeah, but not everyone can afford a jet ski. So I'd say go to the cable park, because that's what I did at first. I just went to the cable park all the time. And before you know it, they were just letting me there ride for free because I went there so much.
Yeah, there you go. Love it. Let's talk sponsors. So you're kind of dipping into, you know, you had Nautique, but I got a list of sponsors here, and I'm curious, at what point was it that you became a fully like professional, I guess, where you're making a living doing this?
Yeah.
And how that progressed, you know, like who was first, and you remember that moment?
Yeah, so I mean, Hyperlite was first. I'll tell you a quick story how I got on Hyperlite, which I thought was cool, was I rode that gate board, which is kind of funny. and it had tails on it. And Mike Ferraro was like, "Hey man, this board doesn't have an athlete's name on it. Like you should write it, make it yours, and then he gave me this insight, dude. And I did, and I made it mine and did all these funny things on it. Just made it work for then, you know. And then Hyperlite kept an eye on me. And so that was like my first one I wanted. So I got in on Hyperlite.
You remember how much Hyperlite was at the beginning?
Oh man, probably $500.
Yeah.
Probably went to $1,500 some point, maybe. I don't know. Not long.
Yeah.
And then let's see. My next biggest one was probably Reef. And it was funny because I remember being at the projects and the 1080 guys coming to me. You remember 1080?
Yeah. Lindbergh was involved in that, right?
Probably.
I think so. Okay.
And so I remember going, Pat, dude, what do? I got like this 1080 group, and like Chris Bischoff did Reef, and he was vaguely talking to me. I was like, dude, 1080's giving me this big offer. And Pat's like, who do you really want though? And that's when I was like, I want the cool name and the freaking Reef. Like, it's so like
OG brand.
Yeah. So it was kind of between those two at the time, and I was so glad. Like I went with Reef, and before you knew it, they gave me incentives on like, I was like their clothes guy and like their shoe guy, right? Because they had the Wakeskate shoe with Byerly shoe and the sandals, all the bottle opener sandals and stuff. So I was getting just tons of that to my house. It was awesome, dude. Awesome. Just mad sandal. I think I still have sandals this day. And I was repping their clothes, and that was a new thing for them. And that was just great to be sponsored with them. Another cool one was Skull Candy. Mind you, I never probably saw a bill unless I won something. Like they might.
I was wondering,
something.
Skull Candy.
Yeah, no one really got. I don't think anyone got paid a lot, but to say you were sponsored by Skull Candy was more,
really
more
cool
than
brand
cool
back
for
then.
me,
They're
you
big.
know. And like I was a DJ, so I was playing the role
True.
with that. So it was, and I had my Skull Candies on the tour DJing. Right, it made sense. And Performance Ski and Surf, I can't leave them out, man. God bless Bill. I remember my parents dropping me off at Performance, and Bill saved me one of the new Wakeskates. Like, dude, that dude's a legend. Like, can't tell you how many times I went in there and they hooked me up or took care of me. So back then, dude, Performance, if you were sponsored by Performance, like, that was huge because Sean Murray had a Performance sticker on his board. Like, the P's, they were very predominant. You knew what they were. So Performance, I'm trying to think what else. Nautiques was just a blessing to have.
How's Nautique? Because you had a boat there for a while.
So Nautique, like I said, dude, I watched Nautiques go by my school every day. I wanted one so bad, and just I don't know how it happened, Brian. I don't know how it happened. Just being around the industry and everyone, and I just, kept putting my best foot forward to try to be with them. And before you knew it, I was sponsored with them. I had like Watson's boat. It was all green. The first boat, I was like, yes. And then like third boat or fourth boat was like Byerly special edition boat, dude.
The black
like,
one
oh
with
my
all
God,
the stuff in,
with the skulls. I was just like, still probably one of my favorite boats. It's a Scott Byerly special edition. Nautiques just they were my big sponsor. They were there for a while. I remember complaining about them at the end and being like, or to them at the end, I would be like, I'd always get them to pay for my contest. I'm like, why can't you guys pay for my contest? Like, you guys sponsor it. Like, why wouldn't you pay for the athletes' that was always my argument, which is still to this day. That's why I bring it up. The sponsors should pay for your athlete's entry fee if you're sponsoring it. And that was my hustle there at the end. But one day I had to take my boat back and have my chin down. But they gave me a lot. So
run through that, I guess, the ending of that, because I feel like we don't have to talk about stepping away from Wakeskating quite yet, but like, you kind of touched on it there. Like, dive in a little bit.
Yeah, so 2016-ish, I'm like noticing things are happening. My body's hurting. I had torn muscles in my arms and stuff too. That was like my other injury that kept coming back. And sponsors are pulling out here and there, and Wakeskating, they're not selling Wakeskates. It's not as big, and wherever it's going. And so no one ever writes a book on how to lead the industry, But luckily, I loved filming and stuff. So when they, called one on my boat and Hyperlite let me go, I had an idea what I wanted to do. So that was cool. And it's interesting to see what everyone does now. And we all find our paths. I don't think any of us are writers that can just sit in an office. We all have to do special things. So I enjoy filming now. But as I was saying, back to the boat.
Yeah, what's that phone call, I guess? I mean, is it out of the blue? Do you see it coming? Like,
you kind of saw it coming. But
you maybe didn't want to believe it?
Yeah, you didn't want to believe it, but I accepted it. I accepted it vaguely. I dropped my boat off and didn't say anything to anyone. You know, I dropped my boat off and left. But mind you, dude, I got pictures on the wall still in there. Like, I say what up to Brian all the time. Like, good. Like, I always kept good, like, heart with my a relationship with my sponsors. I try not to burn a bridge, and it's really came back to help me. They give me jobs to go film. All these companies I've filmed for now or do something for, which is cool. So I think it's important. Don't burn bridges with your companies. It's hard because it is a quick. And sometimes those guys feel like you're friends for 5 years, and then all of a sudden, like business hits, dude, and it's tough. And you got to think in your head that kept me alive was like, hey man, I had a good time, and like they actually paid me for a lot of years, you know, like time for the next thing. And like, mind you, I always thought there was two types of riders, like a rider that was going to leave and just go do something totally different, or a rider who was going to be like an OG or a Parks and like kind of stick around and play their role, which I think is hard to do too. Either way you go, it's hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one really tells you how to leave, but I was just like, let me just start filming and editing. And, on the way out I was on Byerly boards there at the end. So I was doing some of his social media. So I was getting into that world and enjoying that.
Yeah.
And so that's got me my best foot forward. And then I started getting little jobs outside our industry and building my confidence. And then I kind of came back into the industry and do what I do now.
Okay. So I feel like it was maybe somewhat abrupt, you like leaving. Is that like fair to say that it was like a very quick, you kind of stepped away for a little bit?
Yeah. I was like I never thought about this. Like I always seen like Drew McGuckin or someone like just leave cold hearted. I was like, man, how do riders do that? I never understood it. But then like when you have many years of riding and traveling and going through all that and the stresses of a sponsor that feel like they own you, and it was like I was sitting in the middle when I left, like how to feel, but you're kind of like, well, I don't have any responsibility. I don't have these people up my butt anymore. Like, okay, let me take my energy that I put into this sport I love so much. Like, let me put that over here for a minute and see what happens. And that's what like wake skating did. It gave me the confidence and like power to be like, I had to shift it though, that over here to something else and be like, let me put that much care into this. And there's no way it can't go good because this went good. Like I cared about it that much. So I mean, if I gave any advice, that's what I'd say to do. Put your energy in something else you love though. Because we're the type of people who have to get into something we love, you know. I feel like all the wake guys, but I did, and I just dove into the filming and stuff. And funny story, when I left Nautiques and all the contracts were gone, I had one little thing I wanted to do, and I couldn't do it when you're sponsored by these companies. They'd be mad, especially Nautiques. I want to do the Ghost Rider on the Jetski.
Okay, I want to bring this up. But quick, before we go to Ghost Rider, what was Rockstar? I'm curious on that. You remember Rockstar?
Yeah, what do you mean they were my sponsor? Yeah.
You remember how much though?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask. I don't know, man. I'd say like around that same range is Hyperlight, you know, like wake skaters, we weren't getting paid a lot, but the incentive, like, you know, $1,000, $1,500, the incentive to get a cover and then win that triple toe jam, I got some money, you know, like, but it was tough for a wake skater, but there was a minute where we had money and I didn't care, dude. I just wanted to go on the next trip.
Yeah.
I honestly was like, dude.
You were making enough though to
yeah, I could live at Grubs, pay rent, and go to the next trip. Like that's like all I cared about.
Sick. Okay. So Ghost Riding the jet ski. This is
okay.
We got to talk about. I was gonna bring it up anyways.
Yeah. So like Ghost Ride the jet ski. I had this idea. I don't know why. I think I just always have wanted to be able to pull myself and not have someone pull me. I like had dreams about it. Plus Murray had a thing that pulled him a long time ago. I just always had dreams about like I want to ride and like no one's there. And so Nautiques leaves me, and I'm feeling a little bitter, man. I'm kind of bummed, like, sponsors are gone. What can I do to cheer myself up? like, well, I'm going to do this thing with my jet ski I've been wanting to do for years. I'm going to run my jet ski without anyone driving it. And I'm going to ride behind it and make a little edit or something. So I jerry rig this thing up. I'm talking 4 or 5 wires. I'm talking 2.
Yeah, I'll put some clips in.
2 wires to the handle, to the handlebar, 1 wire to the kill switch, 1 wire to the start. Mind you, I put like a governor piece of foam, and would stop it to go a certain speed.
Okay.
Now, once it went to that speed, it would stay. The only way to stop it would be the kill switch. So I was worried about this thing just taking off and going in someone's dock.
When I was watching the video, I was going to say, what happens if you fall?
Okay.
Kill switch.
What happens if I fall is I go, police officer, I don't know what happened yesterday. Someone stole my jet ski. I don't know how I got in this dock.
I don't know where all these ropes on this jet ski are, this foam. I don't know what that is.
I left my key in it last night. Anyways, so I go do the thing, and it's going too fast. I want to do tricks. I want to do other stuff. I called Ryan Wolf over, great drone pilot, crushed it for me. And I had broke the thumb off eventually or something, but I got the clip, but I wanted to go do more tricks and stuff. But I was like, dude, I think I just got away with murder. Like,
I mean, kind of.
yeah, let me just, so we put that out, and it's whatever. It was just a cool, fun thing on the way out. And dude, I'm talking like a couple days later, Nautique's called me. They're like, hey, just want to let you know, we got this one more check here. We just got to get it to you. Like, they were trying to make sure like I was like off the books, because after I did that, they were like, we got one more check. We just want to make sure we get it to you. Like,
ourselves.
I could hear it in their voice. So that was like a fun way to go out. I was like, you know what? All right, let me go out with a little craziness. So yeah, the Ghost Rider. Hopefully we can do it again one day.
It was cool. It was a cool video.
Yeah, it was just some random fun. Eh?
Yeah, some random funny stuff. So I mean, like, explain, I guess, the transition from being a rider, because you said it is hard to do, to go from being a rider to either leaving something totally separate or staying in the industry, which I think is even harder to do.
Yeah.
And you've done that, I think, pretty well, it seems to, now you're on the behind the scenes. Like, walk through, I guess, how you did that, how you've managed to do that.
Jeez, I mean, faith in God. I don't know. Put my best foot forward too, obviously. Just, I mean, when I already had the mindset of like, I don't want to be like the OG, like, that role. I kind of want to do something else, like get excited about something else, and I did. And I was already into filming. Like, mind you, I was always into filming before even school hit. I just liked filming. My dad filmed a VHS camera, B tapes. It's kind of why I use the word tapes.
What is B tapes?
B-roll,
Yeah.
B-roll and tapes. Also, Plan B, I thought was cool from the skateboard side. It's simple. I like some simple stuff. So yeah, I made like a different name to be like, all right, this is my work stuff. But anyways, this not knowing what to do it's frantic at first. Yeah, what do I do? Even though I knew I was a filmer and stuff, I was like, do I just go freaking get a job?
How do I get filming jobs?
Like, what?
That
doesn't sound fun. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, how do I get filming gigs? And I mean, I was trying to get film gigs throughout our industry, right? And like, no one was really cutting me, because they were just like, they were thinking of me as Brandon Thomas, the wake skater, not the filmer, even though I would always do it. That they didn't really take me serious. So I literally had to like kind of jump out of my world for a minute. And there's a great company called SR Pirat in Daytona Beach, and they're a beer distributing company. Now, through a friend, Spencer, who lived with us, he's married to Shay, and she got me this opportunity to work for them and do like, they put the girls in Miller Lite freaking outfits, send them to Bike Week, and here I am filming them. I'm like, all right, this is cool. I'm like, they're going to pay me for this? All right. And so I was doing some work for them, and I still do. I mean, they're an awesome company, and the biggest beer distributors, like one of the biggest beer distributors probably in Florida, just from Bike Week, so great people watching Bike Week. So I do that every year, and then that kind of gave me the confidence to be like, hey, man, you can like do some stuff outside of this industry. Like, I don't know, everything's about confidence too. When I think about it, it's like one little thing gives you the next key, right? Even if you're nervous about doing it, like I'll take some jobs like at first and be like, I don't know if I can do that, or you want me to take photos too? And I would be like, yeah, I'll take photos. Like, I'm not a photo guide, like, but you kind of got to fake it till you make it. And like, it would give me the confidence for when someone said next time, hey, you can take a photo. Oh yeah, I got this, so like,
I just did it.
That's what it turned into. Each thing gave each thing a confident thing. And then before you know it, I did some things outside of the industry, and then I poked back in and like little rock star things or little things for, now I'm doing a lot of little athletes and things for Red Bull, but it took me building confidence in myself. And then I kind of was able to approach these companies that I haven't burnt relationships with, and so like, yeah, Nautique's, a Pro Wakeboard Tour, Alliance Multimedia have given me a huge opportunity like this past year, and WWA, I had a great time shooting for them. I still do some stuff for them, and yeah, our industry is a family at the end of the day, and like, this is my family. So it was only natural to come back and get a couple jobs, and I still do stuff outside of the fam, but I love being a part of this industry, and it's given me so much. Like, I feel like I'm giving back a little.
Yeah.
And when I was young, dude, like the Rodrigos and the Bears and Sean Dishman, Chris Bischoff, like these were also like, you gotta understand, like there's a lot behind the rider when they're coming up. It's, like a lot of people behind them. These names, Mike Ferraro and all these names, like, dude, these people help me out so much. So like, to come back and still feel comfortable and know people in the industry, it's nice to come back and see up and coming riders and feel like maybe I'm a voice for them or can give them a little tip, or, hey Dan, you should do this, or, like, it's cool when they ask you stuff. So I feel like I'm kind of in that Rodrigo role now, and it's fun. It's fun to be here, you know. And I love doing wake stuff, but I wouldn't mind doing a little bit more outside of it too.
Yeah, it's cool to see though the transition because like you said, and I think it's hard. So it's
it's
cool
like
that
everyone's
you get confidence, you figure it out, and next thing you know, you're doing it. You're doing the damn thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think what helped with that was just wake skating gave me the confidence to push forward with that stuff. You know?
Yeah.
Obviously school too, but man, at the end of the day, like traveling around and like meeting people is like the best thing you can do.
That's the best school
like,
you can get.
The best school you can have.
It's not even argued that for sure. All right, I think it's time we dive into another segment presented by Driftline, which is Deserves Some Love. So Driftline, they make the best boardies in the industry here. They got a wetsuit liner, keep you warm, keep you protected.
I like it.
Love rocking these things. They also make some sun protected shirts.
Got my size there too.
If you ever see me, you know that I need that protection from the sun. So, this is an opportunity to give someone some love that maybe didn't get the amount of credit or love they deserved.
Oh man. Oh yeah, just in the industry, I guess.
It could be anybody in your life, but
Mom and Dad, love you, thank you. I'd say in the industry though, I mean, I've already said it. Chris Bischoff. These are guys that were behind the scenes. Obviously, he was a wakeboarder back in the day, but these are guys that sit just under the wing. They don't need to show their faces, but they're doing a lot of work in our industry. Chris Bischoff, Sean Dishman. When I was young, he was the man, dude. Here's the map, B. Hey, I got you, Rockstar. Hey, I told them, like he would direct the riders to the sponsors, tell you who's good, and he'd also take like Shane and I. We were in Portland, and we go to some underground store, and it was just a cool dude. She, like showed us around, showed us the ropes. Who else?
Those are good ones.
Pat Panakos. I'm gonna hit you. Keith Lindbergh said it right, man. Pat was like a dad to us, as well as Scott. But talking about Pat, like he took us in like a family at that place, and was just like, "Okay, kids, here's a little work. Let's ride. Let's document it." And just his passion for the sport and taking care of us and made sure we were doing like the right path and giving us work and just, I don't know what to say. He's just a dad to us and just really took care of us. And he's still in the industry, but he's all sneaky. Like he's always just been like under the radar. Just
I've been trying to get a hold of him. Pat, where you at, buddy?
Yeah, I think he's pretty close to me somewhere.
Let's get you in here, man.
Yeah, you need Pat, Mike Ferraro.
The list is long. I'll tell you.
It's
that.
long.
It's very long. But let's do a little bit more wake skating before we dive into some filming. So, what do you think, I guess, contributed to some of wake skating's decline in popularity?
Geez, man, that's hard. But I think it's a hard one to nail. Like I said, the whole like wake contest was, we were only seeing at the end there's like 5 or 6 riders. It's just us, and then the other crew was trying to just make sick videos and do the sick winching, and like they're trying to stamp their time, which was a thing. I feel like they were trying to have their moment in their own way a little bit. And here's like kind of the old guys just going to the contest like just running this side of it a lot. But we were a little older, and I felt like we understood like the money behind our industry is the boat companies. And we had like a lot of obligation when you ride for the boat company. So we had to keep that strong too. And I felt like, they didn't want to come over to the side. Yeah, like they didn't want to come over to the boat contest side. So then the boat companies aren't seeing enough wake skaters, and so they're not going to invest into it, right? But I think at the end of the day, like we just need to find a happy I mean, there's so many ways to ride, like I said, but with the boat companies, like that could come back alive, but you got to have that conversation. Hey, let's maybe make the boat length or like rope length this, boat weight that type of thing. I don't know, like. That's another thing too. Like everyone's riding the short ropes, and we used to ride 75 foot ropes too. So I think it'd be nice to find a happy medium where all the riders are happy with it, and then you can get them kind of all to come together again. But at that time, there was a little segregation between Wakeskate and the older guys and the younger guys. They were trying to, not to say that broke everything up, but it was just, Wakeskate trying to find its way still, and it's great to see the X Games stuff and the boys go out there and represent and see some other skateboarders and snowboarders, see eyes on it. I think that's the beginning of something new. And I feel like we've had a lot of different groups go through a lot of stuff. And at this point, we all just need to like come together for the cause. Right. And Yeah, so young boys are doing good right now, though. So
And we still got some rippers out there. Dude. Like, I mean, you mentioned a few, but like,
yeah, the flip
and
tricks.
the
Like,
level's crazy. Like,
dude,
you
when,
know?
when I left, I was just thinking about this the other day. When I left, it was like kick flipping on the rail was like kind of getting like, oh, George is doing it. Like I wanted to do it a little, but now it's just crazy. Like 3 flipping on the rails and that whole scene, what Bobby's done too with Pro Wakeskate League.
Yeah.
Awesome. And mind you, those guys don't have a lot of money backing them. They're doing it with a heart, big heart. So props to you guys. Thank you for keeping the Wakeskate alive. And I try to pop up when I can. I went to the one last year and saw Dan, and we DJ'd a little bit and had fun. But
You gonna come to this one this year?
where's it at?
I think the last stop's at Yard Sale. So.
Oh yeah, if they're in town, I have to go. And if I can, put a foot forward and help, I will be. So yeah,
Love it.
I like seeing the dream alive.
Speaking of wake skating, obviously we've been talking about it. Why did you prefer? I mean, you had a bi-level wake skate for a while.
Ah, yes.
So run us through
could
because
tell you.
Reed had one, and was there anybody else that really was getting down with a bi-level?
And a couple little people. I think Matt Mazzari had this
Yeah.
kind of one, but let me tell you my take on it. Like, this is one thing I wish. I wish I had a board that I just stuck with, But we were going through a fun time where I had the gate. I tried. I was like, oh, let's try all these different boards, right? Let's try all this different stuff, and that was kind of cumbersome to my riding sometimes. But yeah, Reed was riding the double decker board. Byerly had a double decker board. And I rode it a couple times. I was like, dude, this thing wake to wake's insane. Like I can do 3 shoves and late shoves like it's nothing. Like so easy. But mind you, like my boards had a lot of rocker. They sat a little deeper. Reed's board is probably a little flatter. But like on the rails and stuff, I was like, oh man, I feel like this thing's taking my style away and little things with the rail. And eventually was like, I went back to a plain deck and just realized I just need a heavier board. Or like,
Does it have normal deck heavier board?
yeah. I was like, heavier board, dude. You want to ride the boat good? Get a little heavier board. Something I told Dan about his board, the past 3 models, probably, or 4 models are heavier. They're a little heavier now than they used to be.
Okay.
Because I told Dan, I was like, it will operate a little bit better for someone riding the boat. And now I'll ride it, the bigger one behind the boat. But, dude, we were back in the day, my red board, like we were putting weights in it, like where wheels would be, like on trucks on a skateboard, like to make it flip good. So we were trying all types of things. But at first, like, dude, one of the first liquid force wake skates, I remember riding one. I was like, it was the lightest thing. Everyone thought was like, oh, everything needs to be light, wakeboarding, right? And so as time went by, dude, these things started getting 9 pounds, 10 pounds, like a little heavier and stuff. So like the progression was kind of fun to go through all the different boards. But, like I said, now we're back at the kind of the standard cassette Thomas board. And like, he pretty much had it right off the bat.
He got it good at the beginning. We went around. And, I mean, that's just how it
But then Dan's board's a little different. There's not many composite boards that you're like stoked about or like over time. But Dan's board holds up, and he proves it's a threat. So yeah, between the wood boards and his board, those are pretty standard now.
Yeah, absolutely. We got one from Derek Davis, Patreon question. So if you guys are interested in supporting the podcast, joining the Patreon is the best way to do that. Thank you to everybody on the Patreon. He's wondering, so he remembers seeing your win at the Masters, and he wants you to just kind of talk about that a little bit.
I have something in my pocket I brought for that.
Here we go.
I was gonna wear it, but
Look at that.
I was like,
Look
you know
at
what?
that.
I'll bring it out if you
We got
asked
the
about
for the
it.
listeners. We got the ring here.
This is the Masters ring.
Of course, I was gonna ask about
very important to me. I have a big old safe. It's like the one thing that's in it. So the Masters was like 2010, and Masters to our industry as a ski industry period is like huge and has been around like the longest, oldest contest. And, everyone has their thoughts about skiing and this and that. But to me, I was like, man, it's an honor to like get to go do this. So I went and wake skated. I had just signed with Nautique.
Oh, this was right after.
I just like signed with Nautique. So I'm like trying to let them know they got their money's worth. So yeah, I trained hard for that one. And I went out and rode, and I probably did. It's kind of rolly sometimes there, but I did like my big spin, some 3, like switch 3, regular 3 was my thing. Probably did a big spin wake to wake, and sometimes we'll squeeze in a kick flip. Yeah, I ended up winning that. I was so stoked. Yeah. And mind you, when we go down, we're like wake skaters, and all these skiers are looking at us like,
well, the skiers leave when the wakeboarding is going
they
on,
definitely
so
left when we went down there.
Wakeskating.
You could feel the shame. I was, jeez, this is heavy. But I actually ended up making some good friends with some skiers, and
some of them are cool.
It was respectable to be there. That was my thought, and I ended up winning. To have this prize, this gold ring, with says Masters, just meant a lot. It was the first Wakeskate contest at Masters.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, so it was like the first year they had it, so that's why it meant so much to me. I'm sure Grubb and Reed have one too. They only give you one. Once you win more, they won't give you another one. They should be putting more diamonds.
They should do something.
Back in the day, I heard they did Rolexes. I was kind of mad I missed out on that, but
you get the first one though.
yeah. First,
Nobody else
first
can get the first
Wakeskate
one.
ring. Yeah, so that was between the Toe Jam and that Masters contest. Like those are special to my heart for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. I didn't know that's how that went down. That's sweet.
Yeah, I used to put it in my hair when I'd go back the next year like this. All the skiers were giving me dirty looks.
Yeah, let them know.
I'd have fun with it. I only wear it on special occasions.
We got another Patreon question from Rob Corum. He's wondering, how has spinning inspired wake skating and vice versa?
What spinning?
I don't know. This is what he said.
Spinning.
How has spinning?
Oh yeah, spinning.
I wasn't really sure on the interpretation of this question.
Oh, all right. Well, honestly, it kind of goes back to like the simplicity of like when it was on a wakeboard and I was 360ing, and then you get on a wake skate and you're like, whoa, I thought this was supposed to be as simple, and it's very technical. When you're, probably worst crashes I've had are on switch threes, wake to wake. Wake to wake crashes on the wake skate pretty hard. Just getting hiccuped, like hiccup and then going on your back, like getting whipped. Anyways, that trick's just hard because especially with a big wake, you got to keep the board in between you and the boat, so you got to get this little off axis angle. But if you could grab it and kind of steeze it out, but yeah, I don't know. That's I think a hard trick actually to learn wake to wake. Like if you can do a wake to wake 360 on a wake skate, like a decent sized wake, like props to you. Like you took some crashes to get there.
Do you prefer reg front three or switch front three spinning?
Oh man, dude. Sometimes,
what's easier for you?
Sometimes the switch one I would be on that month. Like this is and then sometimes it'd be the regular one. It's so weird. Like if I went out right now, I'd probably want to do a regular one. But there was a time where it didn't matter. Like I got really good at switch when I tore my arm muscle once and just rode with my freaking hand in my vest for like a while, just switch. And so when I got to these contests, I could do switch big spin, switch threes, and that would help me on something I wasn't good at, like a toe side shove or something, like, so that was kind of my game, is the switch game, like back then.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because
everyone had their stick.
Yeah, everybody's got their weird thing. It's like,
James Balzer was really good at toe side stuff, so he bust some toe side stuff because he knew I wasn't gonna do toe side tricks. Like I'd just do it switch, And like Grubb was really good at toe side. And yeah, it was cool to see everyone's strengths, but I could bust a spin, dude. If I went out and did a 360 right off the bat at a tournament, like and stomped and put my feet down, like I'm good for the rest of the run. Like gave me the confidence.
Yeah.
But it's a hard trick. Yeah, I mean,
or it's not attached.
Yeah, I love Rob. He actually, speaking of keeping good cahoots with your friends, he actually got me at Wakefest this year. So I got to film Wakefest for Malibu. Sick.
That's a good event to go to.
Yeah, dude. It's really cool. I'm at the DJ next year. It was that much fun.
Back to 50K too, which is sick.
Oh my God, yeah. The boys are stoked.
The boys are getting.
They were dancing. I got a clip for you guys. I'm gonna post. The boys are dancing and singing and rapping on top of the houseboat for like an hour. It was hilarious. I put a couple clips together. La Familia.
Yeah, they're bringing it back. Okay. Speaking of filming, I'm curious on just in general, what's the coolest project you've worked on? Recently, I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean, first how you say this year, I'm like, I feel like everyone hires me Mr. Drone Guy, but I like to shoot other mediums too. I like to shoot my Sony too. But yeah, this year I was kind of Mr. Drone Guy, so it would be a drone gig. Gunther Oka, the Glades project, that was awesome. That was so sick. And we had Aaron Rathy there, and we just had like a good film crew, and Gunther's like strive to like do awesome. It's amazing to be around. And yeah, we're just out in the middle of the sticks and these airboats. I call these guys the cowboys of the water, man. These guys are so cool out in the airboats. And like, yeah, dude, it was gator infested, dude. And if it wasn't like a little cold, like it would have been probably more dangerous. Like for the gators, like gators aren't out when it's like really cold. So it was kind of cold. So that I think saved us a little. But like, dude, Gunther was doing some stuff. I feel like any other rider might just be, let's build this little thing. And like, no, Gunther was like
doing
legit shit and like hitting legit like little gaps at the boat ramps and stuff. And like, yeah, when it was time to like, hey, let's go buy some gators, that was a hard one. I'm just going to hit that because, dude, I posted that on my thing and like people were flipping out with the gator thing. I think so did he. But the whole gator thing was like, yeah, we could have ollied over a gator. Like I wanted to go do shove-its over gators, but you can't do so much with people getting upset about that stuff. So we just had the plan to ride by one, and it was very difficult to get. I mean, one time we just went down Gator Alley and I followed him to get a bunch, but then we kept trying to get like shots at him by gators, and it kept spooking the gators. So we eventually had my drone set up, and we had that little shot set up where they jumped in the water. And yeah, I mean, dude, I wanted to jump cows out there. I could do a shove it over a cow. Like, this is so cool, but people would get mad. So. Yeah. But that experience with Gunther and the whole crew gang there, and Parks was there. He was my wingman, dude. Hey, you should get this shot. You know, Parks actually pretty good on the drone and anything else he does. And so it was just a good crew, man, and do something for Red Bull and do something for this industry is, like I said, special to me. So that was a good one.
So you flew a lot of drone for that.
Yeah, I was
drone
guy.
With the airboat. Like, you got to be a certain altitude.
Yeah,
and
like
you can't get as close as you
There was one where I chased him and he jumped the freaking telephone poles. Yeah, like that was so windy. Like, dude, if it wasn't Red Bull on that day, I would have been like, no, I'm not putting my drone up. But it was like, all right, pressure's on. So I had to, that was crazy with the wind. So the wind would like push back here, but he was just off to the side where I could get away from it. It was just crazy. It was crazy, like when the weather's not right, but sometimes you got to pull it out and get it. And we did. And that was fun. Yeah. I was Mr. Drone Guy between like some FPVs and the Mavic and just trying to get different angles. And it's kind of nice when you can just be that guy. You know?
Yeah, definitely. That's, we got another Patreon question about drones. So from Robert Absher, he's wondering, what drone are you currently using? Yeah. And have you lost any drones? / how many drones have you lost?
Yeah, I mean, I used to pride myself on not losing these drones, to be honest with you. The past 2 years have been pretty good, but nothing crazy. Right now I'm on the Mavic Air 3. It's a great drone. I could have got the Mavic Pro, but mind you, I'm flying. These things are getting wet. I'm putting them through some crazy stuff, like 5 hours at a contest, whatever. The Mavic Pro has been pretty awesome. The gimbal's been getting wet and going out. It usually works the next day. The FPV drone that DJI makes, that Dave flies as well, it's a Ninja with it. That drone can get wet, man. That drone can get real wet.
Really?
So that's like a good safety go-to, but it's powerful. The FPV is a powerful, different drone. You're obviously wearing it on your face. Between the DJI FPV and the Mavic Air 3, they've been great drones for me this year. And I shot a lot of that Gunther projects with those.
Okay.
Yeah. And then what was the other thing in there?
So how many have you lost, if you've lost?
Okay. Yeah. So this year, I was flying under the bridge with Grub with the first Avata, and like all the concrete and metal like did something and didn't respond. And like, boom, right into the pillar. I like Grub talked me into, I was like scared to go down there. I'm like, this is Shark Alley. Like I went down there and got it. And like, we got some of the footage. Some of it was on the internal, and then I'm just thinking of the one from the Keys last year, and I put it up and I put my remote down, and like you getting ready on the back of the boat, there's like this kind of unsaid rules, like the cool rules, like you're kind of like dipping your board, you're throwing the rope, you're getting the shot, a little B-roll, right?
Yeah.
And freaking, I set my remote down, the drone's just sitting up there, and he goes, "Oh shit!" I look at the screen and I see a rope coming at it, and I look up and the rope hits it, brings it down. I look at Grub. I go get it. And he goes and gets it.
Grub threw the rope and it hit the drone?
Yeah, he just was trying to do the cool throw. He's like, I never do that. And he threw it right into the drone. I had a couple of ones with Parks. We ran it into the tree, went and got it. So it's going to happen. And you know what? There's not too many people that you fly like over the water, I think, because of that. So like, I feel like I'm probably not the best pilot in the world, but someone like Dave and I can like operate over the water pretty well. So it's what makes us special.
Yeah.
And it's like awesome to be like the guy to call or one of the guys to call. So
yeah, it's probably not a long list of, qualified drone.
Oh yeah. You gotta earn that one,
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's been cool.
I want to talk about your relationship with Daniel Grant, because you mentioned him
that's a good
earlier,
one.
but it started sooner than
I'll give you a good start. I was actually telling Daniel a bit of the story the other day, because there's bits and pieces I didn't tell him at the time. But so I met Dan in Thailand. I met Dan in the Philippines. He's from Thailand, right? Mm-hmm. He was there for a contest. Keith Lidberg, Donald Shelbrick, maybe one other person was there. But Reef had sent me there to be a judge, right? I didn't even have to ride the contest. I was just kind of fun trip. They were like, "You're going to go there for a week?" I go, "No, I'm not. I'm going there for 4 weeks. You're going to send me across the world." Like, so if I didn't do that 4 weeks, I probably wouldn't have got to know him. But so I get there, we start judging the contest, and I'm just like watching this kid go around the cable. Like, he hit this big rail that was too big for him, and he pulled the rope like in like this so he could stay on the rail, like just doing crazy things. I was like, and he was so consistent and wasn't falling. And then he wake skated too. And I was like, bro, if I had to ride this contest, I think this 12-year-old would beat me. I think I was the only adult in the room that would admit that. All the other wakeboarders were like, oh, this kid, yeah, right? I think they were kind of shying him off a little. And I was just like, dude, no way, dude. This is the kid.
You guys seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah, I don't think they were seeing what I was seeing. They were accepting it.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, like I was, we judged him. And then he rode around. And I just seen him being a kid. And I was like, man, like I just didn't really go up to him. I didn't want to just go up to him. So I like followed him around the cable till he fell, which took forever. Then I fell by him, and then I talked to him on the way back, and like I was like, "Oh man, this is a little kid. He has no idea like how good he is. Like this is crazy. He just rides this park. He tells me at home he was just like putting the cable in and going, and no one was there. And I'm like, that's how you ride at home? He's like, yeah. Sometimes no one's there, and I just ride for hours. I'm like, oh my god, dude. Like this kid is special. He's really good. Yeah, and they called him the Phenom. I've never heard anyone say Phenom. If I make him a movie one day, which we will, I'll call it the Phenom. And it'll tell his story. But they called him a Phenom, and I thought that was really cool and special. And before you know it, I was bros with him. And I had the first GoPro, and I'm putting it on a bamboo. Like, this is before poles were even a thing. I'm putting it on the bamboo, filming Dan. I swear I did 4 or 5 laps. I have to this day on video, and he didn't fall, and he was just going and going and going. And that's when I was just like, dude, I got to, like, tell someone. Like, so I, like, kept in contact with his dad. I went home, and I was like, Daniel or David, his dad, you need to get Daniel over here. Let's get him sponsored. Like he's already traveling at 12 in Asia. So I was like, what is it for him to come over here? I'll take care of him. I live with Grub, by the way. Grub didn't know. I invited a 12-year-old to the house. And he didn't tell him. So I told Grub, I was like, hey man, this kid Daniel Grant. And he knew who Daniel Grant. He's like, man, I'm not taking responsibility for some 12-year-old. And I was like, oh shit, I probably should have told him. And then I get it where he was coming from. And so he stayed at my parents' house, and he got to know my parents, and I thought it was cool. They still ask about him to this day. And then after 2 days of staying over there, I like brought him to Grubs, and I was like, Grub, look at this kid. We rode with him. He was like, all right, I see. Like, have him come over. So then he stayed at the house after we got Grub approval. And then, dude, every summer from there, he was at my house, and he wasn't necessarily in town to like compete. He was like competing a bunch, and he'd come in town and like chill with me in the garage, and we'd DJ and edit, or did the Tao video with Dan eventually and taught him how to edit, and he got into DJing. And like to see him do all that now, I feel like Papa here, you know, like he's probably the closest thing I have to a kid. So it's really been cool to see him grow. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I can talk for days about it, but yeah, I got to shoot in the X Games part with Dan. He traveled me around the world, went to Amsterdam, Liverpool.
Yeah, I wanted you to touch on
like
X Games.
Got to do some really cool stuff with Dan, and I almost feel like he repaid the favor back by going, hey, B, come shoot some stuff.
Yeah. How was that X Games part, filming that? I mean,
it was cool. I was still at the beginning of like figuring. I feel like, you know, that DSLR took me a while to kind of figure out, but like I was at the beginning of that, and I didn't have a gimbal. I remember having the thing with the weight at the bottom and getting frustrated, and Dan was putting it on the line. Like he was doing some crazy. I almost should have like knocked it back a little and just done some steezy stuff. He was freaking going crazy, but his dad, dude, took us everywhere. Went to Amsterdam, all these different places. Like I don't think I've traveled like that in such a quick amount of time. Yeah. So he like repaid the favor back, and like we didn't win the contest or anything, and but it was an experience, man. I'd love to do that with him again. And I talked to him. He was in town not too long ago, and yeah, I told him I need to make it back out there. It's been a long time, so it'd be cool to do something again with him in the future. You know.
Shit. How old is DJ? Do you know?
Ah, okay. So I was putting it together the other day. I was like, oh wait, did he just drive? He like drove me around. I'm like, he's 20. You got to be 25 to rent a car. I think he's 26.
Okay.
So yeah, he's right there.
It seems like he'd be like 40 at this point, just because he's been around for so long. But he's still.
I give Dan a lot of respect for certain things. He's always had like a solid girlfriend at home that he's always been loyal to, and just always just been so good with his sponsors. Like man, like it's been quite the show. It's been a great show to watch. To me. Yeah.
Has been, and he's still got
a long. Over.
I mean, it's not over yet.
I look forward. We were talking about him coming on here, and I'm sure he wants to come on here sometime and spit it. So
he had his own podcast. I'd love to have him on this one.
Yeah,
it'd be solid.
We'll get him on here
one day. We got a Patreon question from Cole Vanhoff. Another one.
Oh no, God, Salt Life.
Yeah, Salt Life. He wants to know your best Byerly story.
Oh, okay. I'll give you two quick ones. Well, the first time I met Scott was like, At the projects, and I noticed everyone would pull him wake skating. At this time, he was wake skating, and he was like kind of probably coming off like a shoulder injury. But I noticed everyone would pull Scott and not say a word to Scott. Mind you, Scott would get mad sometimes. Scott can get mad, dude. You know, and sometimes maybe like they just didn't want to say anything. But I was like, why does no one say anything to Scott? So I'm pulling him one day, and now, mind you, I'm not like buddy with him at all. Like I'm just like doing lessons for Pat at the projects with my cast on type of thing. And I was like, I'm going to say something to this guy. He keeps falling. He's getting mad. I'm like, I'm going to say something. So I roll up and I was like, hey, Scott, I think if you move your foot like back a little, like you'd be better on that trick. And he's like, oh, just, I was like, okay, shit. So I drive off, 2 or 3 more. I come to pick him up. He goes, what are you saying about moving my foot? And I go, And I felt like from there on out, I was like, all right, this guy's cool. Like I can talk to him. And then here's another fun one. When I travel with Scott, Hong Kong, all types of weird places, people would recognize him. I'm at the Bathing Ape store in Hong Kong, they recognize him. And then another thing is people would come up to him and think he was Brad Pitt or say he looked like Brad Pitt. And he would always get so mad, and I'd be like, oh yeah, such a tough one. So yeah, traveling with old B was fun, man. I did some great trips with Scott and Matt Malloy to Hong Kong, Mexico. And yeah, man, getting to hang out with that legend was cool.
No doubt. I mean, I feel like your guys' relationship, at least from the outside looking in, is pretty tight. And I feel like not a lot of people have probably seen Scott the way you've seen.
Yeah. Like, for example, like Cole and I went and interviewed him the other day, and he probably said a little bit more than he would because it was Cole and I, but like, yeah, Scott can be intimidating to a lot of people, but once you get to know him and he likes you, He's a cool dude, and he gave me a lot. I have to say thank you to Scott. When I was leaving Hyperlight, I was freaking out. I left Hyperlight and or not left, but they were like, "You're out." Like it was just grubby. Things weren't going too good, and I was like, "What am I gonna do, dude? I just got done with school, and I want to keep riding." And Scott gave me that opportunity to ride for Byerly boards, and we had a blast. And then George Daniels is in freaking ninja, and George was like Scott took George like his son, dude, and really would take care of George. And they were heavy riding, and I kind of joined in with them a lot. And we rode on the Butler chain there for a minute. And yeah, great relationship with that guy. I traveled the world with him. So, and just obviously, I hear people come on and just tell these legendary stories and all these videos, and you're like, oh man, I got to hang out with this guy. Like,
it's kind of
he's just a buddy, dude. He's just a buddy. He's a good mate.
Cole's wondering also when you're going to film your final Wakeskate part.
Oh man, I asked him the other day. I told Cole, I want to get a couple more. I want to get some tricks before I like put it to rest. Like I'm old enough, or I got a couple more years. I can do some kick flips and do some stuff wake to wake. I can do a 3 wake to wake. I can do some stuff. So I was like, let's document a little. I don't know, whenever Cole freaking wants to come film me, but yeah, I'd love to get a couple clips of the cable. I'd love to get a couple boat clips and just be like, all right, there's my last run. My last run of riding was like 2016. I put some clips online, but like it'd be nice to I don't need to go kill myself. Like just do some fun.
Some good looking stuff down.
I'm a big fan of hitting a dock right now, and the lakes are flooded, so maybe I'll be hitting a dock next week. So
that's true, they are. So I mean, speaking of riding right now, I mean, how often do you ride, and what's your setup like?
All right, yeah. Funny enough, I have 4 wristbands from OWC from the past 2 months. I put them up in my shower like I used to when I was a kid, just past couple months, I was like, let me ride the X Game things, the boys wake skating kind of. I was like, I need to ride. Like, so yeah, I'll go to the cable. Funny enough, they're super cool about letting me ride. I think one of my old photos is still on the wall.
I think if you got a photo on a wall,
yeah, I'm pretty much grandfathered in until I take it down. Don't take it down. But yeah, that place, like I said, I broke my femur there. So they always treat me good. And then I'll ride with Kobe and Tara and go surfing. There's my friend Alex on the lake. I love surfing the boat. It's fun to do. And then, yeah, Wakeskate, maybe the Jetski, but mainly the cable, back to the roots is easy. I like going up there and seeing people getting it, and just sometimes I'll take my drone up there and not ride and just be like, who's getting it today? And it's like Max, Scarborough, what's her name?
Cooper and Campbell.
Cooper, yeah, Campbell. Yeah, like it's just been kind of cool to see the kids getting it, and I'll pull my drone out and just film them and stuff. So it's always a place in my heart. I'll go ride once in a while. It's nice.
Definitely.
Kinda
cable's easy. You show up, you ride.
Yeah, it's kind of undercover. I don't need to go for like announce it. I'll post a little like scoot off the dock or something. Like I'm having fun.
Yeah, there you go. And what's your setup? So when you do,
yeah. So, I mean, I always rode a Byerly board. They always had a lot of rocker, like I was saying. And after helping Dan out and seeing him come out with his boards, I asked Liquid Force to send me one. And they sent me, I've got a couple. Dan's given me one too. So I like riding his board. Funny enough, it's a composite board, man. That thing doesn't break. It's solid. It has flex. I can ride the bigger one behind the boat. It's fun. It's a lot different for me to ride than other boards, but I just been trying to adapt to it. It's a great board. Yeah. The Tau.
Absolutely. And what shoes? What is the best Wakeskate shoe to Wakeskate in?
Well, if you live in Orlando, what you want to do is go up to the factory outlets there, and they got half off. You buy one shoe, you get half off on the next Van shoe, right? Yeah, this is like forever still going on. So I go up there, get yourself a Van shoe. I'll get myself one I might want to Wakeskate in. I have some raggedy ones right now, but I'm probably due for some new ones. So the Vans are cool. Honestly, back in the day, I used to love the puffy,
the big ones.
Oh yeah, dude. I used to love a big puffy tongue and stuff. But at the end of the day, you got water and stuff trying to flow through there. So the Vans are nice too. I don't like a sole that's like way off the ground. I want to feel connected to the board. So, between the Byerly shoe back in the day, that was the best. But right now, more on Vans.
Yeah, can't go wrong with a good pair of Vans.
Yeah,
that's what I always skated in. It works.
Yeah, you can always glue them up.
So we got another one from Reed Hansen. This one's spicy.
Dang, I thought the last one was spicy.
This one I think is probably more spicy. He is wondering what the details are behind the Marcus Knox story /beef.
Oh, Marcus. Oh, geez. You're going to throw me out there. Okay. This is back in the day. Okay, let me put you in perspective. I think back in the day when I was about to leave, I had my own little thing where I was like, oh, yeah, fucking Lake Lions. I had my thing, Lake Lions. I had a sticker. Lake Lions was my crew. Water Monster guys would mess with me and put stickers over my stickers and stuff. So I was just like anyone with long hair. I was having fun, but I was, taking stuff a little serious. But I think Marcus and a couple of the boys put out a video. Oh, Reed was in it too. That's probably why he's bringing it up. Maybe he was in it. Maybe he wasn't. Nah. I don't think it was Reed. He was too good. I was in it and they were clowning me or something. They put something there and they were clowning me and I got mad. I was pissed.
Well,
what's up? Like kind of clowning me. Maybe they had Froggy in it. Maybe they had Froggy in it too. And they had me, they had a section, but they had not me riding. It was just I forgot what it was, dude. They were definitely clowning on me. Okay. So I was pissed. I was at one of the toe jams looking for the kid to edit it, ready to hit him with a golf cart. I was ready to rumble, dude. I was like, how dare these kids disrespect?
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a little, probably back then where I was a little mad or irritated about it. But since then, Marcus lives on my lake with Jake, and we become great friends, dude. We rode together, and we can laugh about that stuff.
Yeah, well, it's funny now.
Yeah, it's funny. I love telling those stories. I definitely had my little Lake Lions thing.
Yeah, okay, Lake Lions, is that making fun of water monsters? Is that what you're doing?
No, I wasn't, but they were I felt like there was a little clash. Oh, can't have your sticker here. It was just funny time. I was trying to come up with my own thing, So Lake Lions was if you had long hair and you'd like to ride, you might have been a Lake Lion,
Yeah.
I was trying to do something.
I like it. Lake Lions, water monsters. We a lot of different names we can come up with.
Yeah, I was trying to have fun. You're trying to come up with crews. It's
all right. We got last Patreon question from Eric Siebold, and he's wondering, can you explain how the Rockwilder Blue Octane wakeboard album came out, and what was the actual involvement of the riders?
Yeah. So the Blue Octane was the album. Basically, from what I heard, the guy managing this just had Rock in on it. It wasn't Rock's idea. He had hired Rock. So the guy managing this was trying to almost do ours as a practice one because he wanted to go do one with Sheckler, skateboarders, snowboarders. He wanted to have each industry to have these album songs with related to the riders of that industry. And I heard they were doing it, and I wasn't a part of it. But then I obviously stuck my nose in and was like, hey, look at my Skull Candy headphones, and I DJ, and da-da-da. So I got in on it, and Watson had a song, Dallas had a song. And, everyone was just okay, cool, about their song. But I was nah, I want to go to the studio. I'm trying to be up in, I'm trying to be a part of this.
Yeah.
So then, Rockwilder just became a homie, and dude, this is a Grammy winner. He's Lady Marmalade and done a bunch of stuff with Redman, Method Man, dude, Jay-Z, this guy is freaking, so I got to sit in the office or the studio with him and he's just busting out beats. Hey, B, like this, oh, let's put this in there. I'm yeah, this is great. So just to be a part of that was sick. And yeah, he picked a handful of riders and I don't think it obviously didn't really go anywhere, But the song's on iTunes if you want to get into it. I like my song. I think it's cool. But yeah, it talks about a little wake skating in there. Wake skate to this. It's like hit rock up, hit somebody's dock up, call up Spence, tell him to grab the whole flock up. It was like one of the lines. Spencer was like, I keep saying his name. He lived with Grub and I. He did construction, but like he was one of those guys that we got him on the tour to announce. We got him to do everything because he was just such a fun guy.
Yeah.
And anyways.
That's pretty wild. I'll put there's a video of you wake skating. I think I mentioned it earlier, but I'll put that link down below so you can. It's cool. Like the song and then your wake skate. I don't remember what the.
Yeah, I probably
Maybe
got
just
hyped one year and was like,
something.
I'm gonna edit like to my stuff with this, you know.
You have to.
Yeah, you have to.
You got to at least put one edit out if you're gonna do that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was special.
I'm wondering what trick took you the longest to learn.
Oh man, that mute big spin wake to wake was a bit. I remember Grub telling me you'll never get it. I think that was my motivation.
That's aggressive, saying you'll never get it.
I didn't think he said. He's like, just give it. He was like, it was like sick of seeing me trying to think. That mute big spin was hard. I got it consistent, and that was like my trick. You know, that's why I say that, because that was like a good go-to. If I did that in a contest, it was special.
Yeah,
it looked cool. So yeah, that, you know, just getting that thing to come up between you and the boat, getting your hand right. Fall back down on your switch toe side, you know, your landing switch. Yeah, to me, that one was like, felt the greatest, accomplished, wake to wake. It was something, it was a weapon. And during my contest that I could pull out, it was like a special one. I could do like the switch wake to wake big spin without grabbing it pretty easy. So if I could come back with the grab one, it was like, cool, I got a solid run.
And nobody's really grabbing those.
Yeah, no one was really doing that. So it felt special to me. Then Reed started doing the finger flip out. I like literally would like grab his board, finger flip, kick flip out, and just beat us all. And we'd be like, man, I literally think he stopped doing it just to like favor us, like be cool with us.
Really?
I swear to God. I think he was like, I'm just gonna stop doing that one to the boys.
What about flip tricks? Were those tough to learn for you?
Yeah, so they were, but like, dude, the first Asterix movie was the first Wakeskate movie was called Asterix. And Justin Stephen got us out there. I just want to mention this because it was so cool to me. And seeing Thomas Varell do a kickflip for the first time over this thing was like, holy shit. I started practicing them that trip while we were filming. I'm like, I am not learning. That was the sickest I've ever seen, dude. And Thomas doing it, like, was real special. So I just Jetski, kickflip, right? And then I started getting a varial flip, which I think can be somewhat easier sometimes. Frontside flips, those are three pretty standards. And like, you got to think not everyone was always doing this, so it was special. A three flip was hard for me, man, when that was coming around. At the end there, I was trying to do heel flips, and I was close, like doing cool ones in the lip. Like if I can go back and land something, I'm like, oh, I just want to land that heel flip real sick in the lip. Yeah, flip tricks aren't easy, man. And you got to think there's a lot of not water time when you're trying them. You're falling. It's tough, man. It's tough to get that dialed. I'd say a little advice, trampoline, a skateboard goes a long ways, and gets you that little bit of consistency to help. But yeah, once you break into the flip tricks, you're into wake skating. You're liking it. You're loving it. Yeah. If you're flipping your board, like, you put some time in.
Have to.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
And then there's people that, I mean, dude, there's this one guy, I think we call him Blood. He would like carve all the trophies. We got some sick trophies from back in the day. And like, the dude could skateboard and like had never really wake skated. And we put him on a wake skate. He could go do frontside flips, heel flips. Like, they weren't like steezy or like big, but he could do them. We'd be like, how is he applying all this right now? What is happening? So like the cross world too, between skateboarding and wake skating, I always get people asking about the ollie. How do you ollie the wake skate? I'm like, you got to go in the water to come out of the water. Always tell people.
That was deep.
That's just a little advice.
That's insightful.
Yeah, you got to go in the water to come out. You got to, the water's.
You go and pick up off of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's like. It's like a front foot, back foot thing. And I always tell people that's like the first thing they want to learn. How do I ollie? That's going to open you up to everything else, right?
Yeah. So. Definitely. Okay. How would you, back in the day when you were learning tricks riding, how many times would you say you fall? Because wake skating and falling are just the same thing. Yeah.
I had to give myself a saying. It was like, the more you fall, the more you learn, Brandon. Like, that's how I would get through it. It was like, all right, you fell 5 times. Don't beat yourself up to it. What can you be doing right? How can you fix it? And I constantly tell people that with like even wake surfing, I'm like, hold the handle, dude, for a while and learn some stuff. Give yourself water time. Water time is important. And Mike Ferraro knew that when he was teaching us. He'd put the rope out really far and just have me jump inside out and do little 360s. That way I could do 3 or 4 without falling, you know? So when you're training on the wake skate, try to find a way to give yourself water time. But hey, when you're out there just trying to learn to shove it, like you're going to fall, you're going to fall, you're going to fall. Yeah. I just say is learn from it. If it's going too far in front of you, then you're probably too far back on your board. If it's not like going in front of you, then you're not far enough back on your board. So it's just like breaking it down. You just got to break this stuff down and don't let it beat you up. And I can't tell you how many times we do the one more, let me get one more. And yeah, it's a different game, dude. Wake skating's a different game. It's you learn to fall, man. You learn to fall.
Well, you have to because you fall.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you become a dolphin. You learn to fall certain ways, special ways, and you can hurt yourself. You do the splits. I tell people the most common injury on a wake skate is to do the splits: 1 foot on, 1 foot off. 1 foot, the front foot's on, and then like all your body weight goes to that front foot. And I saw Byerly put his leg to his head like this, dude. Everything in his knee, like it's the most common injury. So I tell people when you fall on the wake skate, just let go and fall backwards. Like if you're not feeling it, put your feet close together until you can. I'm giving a lesson now.
That's good.
But yeah, this is just lots of things people ask me about the skate and the difficultness of the beginning of it. Because once you get past these ollies and get a shove it and stuff, you're kind of like
you're hooked.
Yeah, it's getting over that hump of those couple tricks.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, and wake skating is really freaking hard.
Yeah, like I said, made everything that I thought was simple like hard. I thought was simple.
That's why it's cool.
Board, yeah.
So I'm curious on the Red Bull Las Vegas winch trip.
Oh yeah, that's fun. Yeah, that was cool.
2 things I'm curious on. 1, just kind of run through the trip, but 2, you were on Rockstar and then you were on a Red Bull trip. It's just fascinating to me that's
I'd say praise Grub for that one, yeah. That was probably Grub just being like, hey, there's only so many wake skaters. And this is my boy, you know? And we had Danny Hampson there. By the way, I found out what a wellness checkup is with Danny because he didn't make it out of the room a couple mornings. So when you can't get someone out of the room at like a big hotel in Vegas, it's called a wellness check. You got to call the security and then they got to come out there. They open the door.
Oh, it's like a thing.
Yeah. I just thought that was funny. Danny was partying hard without us, I think. But yeah, Vegas was cool, man. It was such an opportunity, and I totally forgot that it was a Red Bull thing. And I rode for Rockstar, and they let me go there. And we actually went and like winched some neighborhoods, and we got to winch inside New York, like water fountain. Like
I'll put clips in. It's
people,
wild.
yeah, people were just walking around. Actually, I pick up the mic to just try to explain what we're doing because they had a mic there. And yeah, Danny Hampson was ripping. And I mean, by the way, Danny Hampson's one of those guys who came in our industry and was like, I should probably change the way I ride. Ben Horan and Danny Hampson, like talking about people that kind of came in our industry, and it gave me a shock. Like those dudes were awesome. But the Vegas thing was cool. We built the incline. We built, just the incline, and doing big spins, bigger spins. People, what the hell is this? You know, and coins are in the water and stuff. You know, or like what? Yeah, it is a random thing, and it was a great way to show wake skating. I wish we did that more. Like we should do that every month.
Was that like did you guys get like Red Bull got permits for that?
Yeah, they're good about getting permits. So they got permits. We had to like put blankets maybe down in there, and we built it in the parking lot. We were like skateboarding around while we were building it, walk it over there, put it in the water. People are just asking questions. They had no idea what's going on. Everyone who walked by is asking questions. Yeah. That's what you want. And so it was a great way to showcase, and they made a cool video. I think I watched it not too long ago. It's like Danny Hampson's in the freaking hot tub getting interviewed. There's just like, it was fun, man. We were at the peak of our thing, doing our thing. And yeah, whenever you can show wake skating off, that was the best. Like it was some random spot, or the winch pools were awesome. Honestly, I've seen everything that says the street jam. The first pool done away from the lake, Byerly built and the Step Up guys built in downtown Orlando. It was called the Street Jam, and I have the trophy still. Yeah. Not to take any credit away, but that made me think of that. That was like the first street jam, and the rail was like this. The pools were like skinny. I'm hitting concrete when I fall. I did a like front board 90 out just to win because it was that hard just to hit the thing. But from there on out, everyone started figuring out the angles. That was a thing at first. All the angles were gnarly.
Well, because they're probably just being like, oh, we matched like skate down rails. Or
yeah.
Like down rails, and those are steep. So
and like over time, we started realizing they needed.
We're going 20 miles an hour or 18 miles, whatever.
Dude. So that I don't know why it stuck out in my mind that street jam was cool.
I didn't know that was called street jam.
Yeah, I had the trophy, and it was a carving by the guy named Blood, and it says street jam. It was cool. So when I saw those guys were doing that, I was like, oh, That's rad. That's a pretty good name.
It's a great name, honestly.
Stick to it, yeah.
Run that one back.
Those pull stunts were cool, though. Those were a thing back then, like trying to figure all this out. And doing them at boat shows and stuff was interesting and a great part of our industry. Like, dude, one of those pools like busted open, I think, and
Quinn Silvernail.
there's all types of stuff. Yeah. Anyways, I'm a big fan of those pool stunts when they first came out.
Well, and I think that there is like a path now. I think with electric winches or even like a
Oh
two-tower
my
system,
God,
like it
dude.
can be very dialed.
That thing when we did with Gunther, now mind you, I've been winching my whole life when I was younger, and everyone in the neck of the woods would come out and we'd get in trouble. We did that thing with Gunther, and sometimes we had to use the winch and we made it look like it's behind the airboat, right?
Yeah.
What we used an electric winch, we never got stopped once. And I was like trying to put it together. I'm like, this thing makes no noise. It's effortless. Like, I wish we had this thing. Yeah. It's such a blessing to the winch like industry. It's so clutch, that winch. Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome. Winch. They're so awesome, electric winches. So yeah, I think that there's an opportunity to slowly maybe incorporate, because like you said, you just want people walking by asking questions.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? You get it in front of the masses, right? Like,
yeah. So yeah, just having wake skating around different pull stunts, I thought at the beginning of all that was such a cool way to show these people, and people just like the X Games, they still rolling up. What is this? Like, that's the reactions we were getting. That's what you want, and get interested into it, and yeah, just bring it to the people. It was like what a crazy way to bring wake skating to the people. It was so cool.
Cool way. Needed too. So, I mean, what gets you stoked on wake skating right now? You still follow wake skating pretty closely?
Yeah, I'm not up and not hugging it, but I'm watching. Maxime, I think, did like a 3-flip on the rail for one of these contests not too long ago. The flip tricks on the rails are just impressive, man. The consistency of the flip tricks, I just didn't know I was gonna go this far. I guess I did. I don't know, but it's just really cool to see. They said Travis. I think he's just at the forefront of being a good face for our sport. And he came over and rode with Grubb the other day, rode the big wake, and he ripped it. He did some sick lip tricks, and then it was cool to see Grubb just go out there and do the wake trick. So it was kind of cool to see those two worlds come together. And yeah, I'm stoked about the new crew, the kids right now. Like, it's in a good path, and I want to see it grow in my lifetime. I want to see it get big. Like, again, like, I want to be there for that moment, whether it's judging or just clapping on the sidelines. Like, I want to see it. So.
Seeing it go down.
Yeah.
What are you up to these days? I mean,
yeah. So right now, like, I'm freelancer. Like I said, Alliance gave me a lot of awesome jobs, working with Cole a lot. I'll do little jobs in town, out of town. I did the cookies dispensary. Cookies dispensary in Florida. They're like all over the place. They're really big out west.
Okay.
This cookies dispensary.
Is it weed cookies? Or
Yeah.
cookies? Oh,
yeah. I just was waiting for you to say it. Yeah. No, it's not like actual cookies, but it's like, medical marijuana, right?
Okay. Do they have that here in Florida?
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so I've like randomly got that job, and that was super cool. And I like being able to do stuff where it's not just me flying the drone all the time and put a story together. Yeah. So little businesses like that's cool. Like, I was thinking the other day I should go to Performance Ski and Surf and just go do something for Bill. I owe him. He did a lot for me. But doing all the little stores in town and like people that have passion or trying to sell something, I like that. I get along with that. And I love when I can hire my friends and be like, let's make some money, cool. And then, so just trying to hustle a little. I live on the lake, just south of Orlando. I will not tell you my lake.
Okay. You know what? Why is it so secretive?
I don't know.
What's up with that? What's up with the Florida?
I mean, I think Kevko's
the same way.
He said it's so good. The surfers tell you where the break is.
Yeah, but there's lakes. It's not like a freaking.
So,
you don't have to say.
When you live on a lake, I'm gonna explain. When you live on a lake for like 10 years, and like Alliance Magazine, and everyone's putting the name of your lake in. Well, what can happen is everyone wants to move on your lake or be a part of that, or maybe the young kid with the dad that has a lot of money. I'm gonna move on that lake and ride every day, or I might even run a school on that lake, like. So we run into some stuff like that where you just don't have like privacy to yourself anymore. And you feel like everyone's just riding every day. And you're like, it can be clustered, like a bit of a cluster. I mean, Orlando's the mecca of riding. So we tell everyone we lived on Lake Jessamine back in the day. And here comes Harley and here comes everyone else. And what, Corey lives there. Corey was on here the other day with a damn map showing. I'm like, oh my God, stop showing the map of your lake, mate.
I just don't see why it's a big deal. I can pull up Google Earth. I see all these freaking lakes.
You can go look for it. There's tons of lakes. I just think it's nice to have a private lake. Like, have you ever lived on a lake?
No.
All right.
My parents live
You kind of got to, it was just a thing you had to
But
do.
it's in Michigan. It's totally
Yeah,
different.
you would just have to deal with a lot sometimes. And like, yeah, maybe being an asshole, but
I mean,
I kind of like the surf side of it. It's like, hey, man, it's kind of our break. Like when there's 20 people there, it's not that fun, you know?
Yeah.
So the simplicity of it. But at the end of the day, man, I got Jamie on my lake. I got Zara was fun to film. She was on the lake living out of Dallas's guest house.
Well, all three of those ladies were on the podcast.
Yeah, you guys
they
will figure
all
it out.
said where they
I'm
live.
giving you the hints, okay? We have a little island on our lake.
Well, that doesn't really narrow it down. There's a lot of
It's
islands.
special though, and I love our place. And yeah, I'm like the gatekeeper, dude. I got the gate key over there. If you want to get on my lake, you gotta call me.
Is it a private lake or no?
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
you can't just drop in and...
Yeah, you can't just drop in. You got to know someone like the projects back in the day.
BT. Put 'em up.
But yeah, I enjoy Orlando. I'm from here. A lot of people think I'm from down south, but man, I enjoy this town. And I was into the lake life before any of this. Like before I loved wakeboarding, I just enjoyed the lake life. So
Yeah.
I will always try to have a lake in my backyard.
Well, when I kept going, we talked about that, and there's actually like some scientific reasons as to why humans and water are very.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
It's called the blue mind theory. If you're
Oh
interested,
yeah, he was talking
look
about
it up. But it's there's reasons.
Yeah, I've been a big, like, even when I was younger, I was a swimmer. I've just something connected with water. So
What'd you swim?
And when I was real young and they had to put me in those Speedos.
Yeah, I did the same thing. So
The reason I dipped out of that's because of those Speedos. You start maturing and you're like, hey, I don't know if this is
It's like
for
the vibe.
me. But I was good at backstroke as much as I didn't want to be, but I could do them all.
Backstroke guy, really?
The guy would always be like, you're doing backstroke. I was fast at it. I hate it because you'd hit your head.
That was the
You had to
worst
count
one.
the flags. Like
Yeah.
But I was good at it. Yeah, I was good. So kind of wish I stuck to it sometimes, but do without the Speedos.
Yeah.
You didn't ask me about the wake pants.
Well, okay. So I'll ask you right now: wake pants, yes or no?
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess I'm speaking for the whole thing, not just wake skating, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't see many.
I think
Some.
I'm probably the same answer as a lot of people, but I mean, it was cool when Shane did it. I think it's really not functionable when you're trying to swim back to the dock or hurt or something. But I get it. You look cool. It might look like your video part look cool. A little flappy in the wind. I think jeans like the old video Chattahoochee.
Right there, dude. Chattahoochee Ski Club.
No way.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
I think I've rode
There was
jeans
that one,
maybe
yeah.
once, but yeah.
Who is that? Is that Alan Jackson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got that right. Sweet.
Great song. Great video.
Yeah. It's a great song. Great.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's funny you ask everyone that. So. It's funny. Everyone has a different opinion.
Everyone's got a little different opinion. And what I have been not getting down with is people do the pants, but then they just have a life jacket on top.
Oh, so you got to do a
That's
shirt
not the
too?
vibe. You got to have a kit.
Oh, okay. What
Because
about
otherwise, what's the point?
wake skaters wearing shirts on their vests?
Over?
Yeah.
I'm a huge shirt over guy.
Really?
I do not like the look of
Yeah,
a
I've
jacket.
never been I've always kind of been shied away from it, but I get it at the cable. Let me tell you what's going on at the cable. You know what I'm saying? They're hiding their vest over there and they don't want you to see their approved vest. So that's an angle.
They're all approved. I can tell you that.
That's an angle.
That is an angle, but yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm talking about vests. I'm thinking every time they look for you on the lake, this is a little input. If a cop's looking for you on the lake, they're looking for 2 buckles.
You ever got a ticket?
Yeah. So check this out. I came out with a hyperlight vest that wasn't approved, but it had 2 buckles. So when they'd see me in the binoculars, they wouldn't even come over. They think it's approved.
Double buckle guy. That's
Yeah.
what I
So just if you're on the lake, make sure you got your 2 buckles. But yeah, now every cable park, you pretty much, back in the day, dude, you could get away with everything. But I just see a lot of shirts over the vest, and I'm like, I don't know.
It's a look thing for me.
Yeah.
Especially if you're rocking a coastie. It's that thing.
Yeah.
Bulky, man.
I think when you're on a wake skate, you're just falling so much. I'm like, I just
That's
need
a
to
good
get up
point.
as quick as possible.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I love you asked that, so I brought it up.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I like that. I mean, is there anything else you want to touch on here before we wrap this up?
Oh man,
we went through a lot.
I can
here,
talk for days. Yeah, you hit all my. Yeah, the boys asked all the questions.
Yeah, we had some good ones.
They hit the spots. I was like, I don't know if I should bring that up.
They brought it up.
They brought it up, so that's fine. It's fun, and we're all older now, and I'm glad we can laugh at it all. And I just say, again, the sport gave me so much. Just traveling and meeting people is just was so important to growing. And if you're leaving this industry and you're trying to figure out where to go, just put that energy and put it to the next thing, and you'll be successful. And I'll always be part of this family, and look forward to the next thing I have to shoot.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
Anybody you want to thank? throughout your career there?
Yeah, I mean, sure. God, mom, dad, basics. And then, yeah, Mike Ferraro. Let's go. Dean Lavelle gave me some lessons.
There you go.
It's Pat Panakos. Yeah, Chris Bischoff, Sean Dishman. So many people, so many riders, so many people I've ridden with, like, have motivated me. And, yeah, just
It's a good list.
hope this industry gives someone else what it gave me, you know. It's fun to sit back and watch that.
Yeah, 100% it is. Well,
And,
thanks a ton for coming on. This
yeah.
was a blast.
Congrats on this, man. I've been a big fan of the episodes,
Appreciate
watching
it,
my
dude.
friends and hearing their story. It's been great to tell you my story, and ride or die, man. Keep riding.
I was looking forward to this one. It was a good time. So thanks for coming on. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you guys are listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure to rate 5 stars if you're enjoying the podcast. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe on YouTube if you guys are watching. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming on. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace out.